Yum, 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 yum. It is live. Let me double check, though, to make sure that stream health is looking good on my end. Content live. Let's check. Yes. I do see that it appears to be live. Yeah, okay, things are looking clean. We're going to wait for some folks to join, and then hopefully we can have some fun. Sunday. Is it Sunday? Yeah. Sunday night conversations. How are all of you doing now? Hey, Mesure. I think I've made this mistake before, haven't I? Joy by Jay says hi. Dude Man says hi. And then you always look good, says Spooky Macchiato. Frozen Fire's here. Jester. Yeah, we're all here. All right, Citrus. If we went back in time and Bungie made Halo 4. Also, I am a member of your Discord now, says Dude Man. How is the Discord? I have not had the courage to poke my head in it for a very long time. It's kind of operating independently of me. Hopefully it's going okay in there. Nothing too crazy. Sunday internet videos. Yeah, you know, it's just a fun time to be had. Where's my coffee? There it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm having some coffee to keep the energy up right now. You nearly got it right. One of these days, I'm going to build up the muscle memory to just say it correctly, and then you'll be all right. Okay. So Blue Sky does an annoying thing that most social media, Bluesky, that most social media outlets do, which is they will rank down your account and your profile, as well as like your tweets or posts or whatever, if you post links. Because the logic is that if somebody clicks on a link, then that's engagement lost, because that person signs out. So if there's a page that's dedicated to posting links to things, then you're not going to see them show up in your feed as much, which, you know, is annoying, but makes it pretty hard to have a social media presence on a new platform. Am I an iconic chat member now? Yeah, you are. Are you kidding me? All of you are. Ultimately, I say look at what fans love about the past games and release the game when they're actually done. The thing is, I don't even know if looking at what the fans like is enough anymore. And that's not to say ignore what the fans want. It's absolutely not the case. But it's more like you have to, I don't know, man. Halo's just in this this weird... Well, it's in the same spot that like most franchises are in. Like they enter these kind of lulls where they're consistently missing the mark. And it takes a while to kind of resuscitate, I think, a dying franchise. A good... Okay, maybe not like a 100% applicable situation, but something kind of similar is... I've been looking a little bit at... I saw Sonic 3, by the way. That movie was extremely good. And I'm a Sonic fan. And I've been one for as long as I can remember. So seeing Sonic as a franchise where Sonic was kind of like the internet's laughing stock, you know, the internet's favorite punching bag. And it became this like self-aware comedy series that was always poking fun at itself. And then it has morphed back around into, or not back around, it's morphed into celebrating itself and being okay with the cool / edgy stuff that people used to mock the series for. And now people are celebrating that aspect. And it's kind of like, you know, seeing the Sonic 3 movie, it's like, holy crap, this is like... like they've rehabilitated the image of Sonic. Like, you can have Shadow now riding a motorcycle holding a gun, and people are cheering You know, people aren't like laughing like they were in the 2000s. So it's entirely possible to kind of get a brand that is at its low point and rehabilitate it. But I guess the how you do that is very difficult and up for discussion. There was this interesting thing that Sega talked about recently where it was a multi-year plan to revive the Sonic franchise. And they talked about how it involved essentially reaching the young generation via memes and social media and things that they liked, and basically ingraining Sonic into their culture and lexicon, and having them grow up with Sonic and thinking that Sonic was fine, and then kind of almost like pulling the mask off, being like, aha, we were cool the entire time, and then getting back to the stuff that the older fans who would be feeling nostalgic by this point were feeling about the franchise. And it kind of like culminates in this kind of, at the end of the multi-year plan, everybody's happy with Sonic again. And it's, I don't know if like these franchise holders are intelligent enough or coordinated enough to have a plan like that spans a very long time. But I don't know. That Sonic movie was really cool. Hey, we got Com Hole Patrol. Not gonna lie, when I was a kid, I thought the Shadow game intro on PS2 was hard as hell. I did as well, until I got on the internet, and the internet was telling me that it wasn't, and I didn't, you know, I didn't want to be an outsider. So I was like, yeah, that was dumb, right? But no, it's cool. Shadow with a gun is cool, alright? Shadow on a motorcycle is cool. I'm getting Infinite at Christmas. Nice, dude. Are you getting an Xbox? Or I guess a next-gen Xbox? Or just like the Infinite campaign itself? If it's actually your first time playing Infinite, you're playing it at the perfect time. The game's in a really good spot now. They should turn back to the semi-grounded, in reality sci-fi tone that the games used to have. I can appreciate the new direction, but Halo leans too far into high sci-fi now. I think it's a couple of different things. I don't think any specific Bungie game was ever super sci-fi or not sci-fi enough. I think what makes Halo really special is more that each game was an excuse to explore different things that the creators were super interested in. An analogy I can bring up is kind of, think about it in terms of like the Star Wars franchise, where you had George Lucas, who created, you know, the original Star Wars movie, and there was no Star Wars before that. So it was just this hodgepodge of different things that George Lucas liked that were thrown into a soup. And the first Star Wars movie came out the other end as a result of that. And Bungie's run on Halo was very similar. Like, if you look at the Halo trilogy, it's this very kind of like disorganized, disconnected mess of ideas. Like, the first Halo game is sort of like an Alien riff. A little bit. It's like a little bit Alien, as well as a couple other things thrown in there. And then the sequel is this weird, like, Shakespearean tragedy involving an alien, with all the human stuff being like the intro to the movie Predator, where everybody is like a badass. Oh yeah, and there's like mushroom zombies that fit in there somewhere, you know? So it's never been like Halo should be a sci-fi series or Halo should be an X series. Halo's just, it's always been whatever the creatives were keen on. And they didn't really care too much about if it was going to disrupt the identity of the franchise. They used Halo more as an excuse to explore those ideas, if that makes sense. ODST being probably the most egregious example, where it's you look at like the Halo TV show, and what people were saying is they should make a Band of Brothers spin-off military show with ODST. And when Bungie got the excuse to make a game about ODSTs, they did not make a militaristic game, which all the boring fans wanted out of the Halo show. What Bungie did was a weird noir detective thing that involved a jellyfish squid alien. Just, you know, that's, I think, kind of like the magic that's lost a little bit from modern Halo, is just that, the sense of fun and the sense of, like, using Halo just as an excuse to tell cool stories. Hey, Mickey, I appreciate the $20, dude. Sorry, I had a lot of fun with your name. One way that Halo could help regain relevance is by doing an animated TV show that is a worthwhile story that's in the main timeline. Grab the best aspect from shows like Arcane, Fallout, and The Last of Us and give it sauce. Yeah, Mickey, I'm 100% on board with you, dude. I think the Halo universe and the mainline Halo canon, like, the Human Covenant War spanned 3 decades. That's 30 years. There's some of us that are older than 30 years. There's some of us that are younger, but that's like a long time, and there's a lot of stories that could be told in that 30 years. And Chief also is like kind of an old dude. So Chief is, you know, it hasn't just been all about the Halo rings or Cortana. Chief has been around the block. You could tell stories that we've never heard of before with Chief. Lots of room for interesting stories to be told. Here, I'm going to take the Hydra. Oh my god, Mr. Nowhere's here. Wish I could Mr. Nowhere, I appreciate the $50, man. I appreciate that a lot. Merry Christmas, dude. Wish I could upload pictures to chat. I was noticing, I was rooting through some old pictures I drew in middle school, and I made a Sonic OC named Flash Freeze Chinos that had ice powers. Do you have, we're buddies on Discord, aren't we? Can you send it to me on Discord and I can show it on the stream? If you're okay with that? I think I've made a Sonic OC before as well, and I literally think it was just Shadow, but the red was replaced with green. Mickey! Mr. Nowhere! Let me catch up a little bit. I have the answer for you. Adding mod support for the Master Chief Collection on Xbox. Yeah, but, you know, that would require Xbox having, like, a sense of fun. Which they do not have. Boy. You know, I just got done recording. Crap. I just got done recording the evolution of the Magnum for Halo 2, and I'm currently editing it. I don't know if I agree with the sentiment that the sidekick pistol feels a lot like the Halo 2 Magnum. Sorry for dying so much, by the way. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment. Here, I've currently got it for some reason. Yeah, shrunk down, you see? Okay. There we go, that's a little bit better. Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with the sentiment that the sidekick is a lot like the Magnum. Just the zoom, but also I think a little bit of it, which... A little bit of it is that it is just more powerful than the Halo 2 pistol. But also I think some of it is just... the combat loop feels slightly different because of the fact that Halo 2 did not have... it didn't have recoil for the enemies. You could fire at them and nothing. They'll still come at you, you know? This is... Don't worry about this game, by the way. This is legendary difficulty. And I'm so discombobulated, I guess, right now at the start of the stream. I need to get into a flow. Here, we're going to put on some adaptive sharpen just to kind of make the image look a little bit more vibrant. I feel bad for these teammates. You know what? Here, I'm going to leave. I'm going to do them the courtesy of just leaving. Sent you the picture. Okay, we're going to take a look at this, Mr. Nowhere. I'm super keen on this. You have lost connection to the game server. Yeah, there you are. Okay. Okay, holy crap. Wow! That is... Mr. Nowhere, that is, yeah. God. This is nostalgically here. Let me if you give me permission, can I share it? You still have this. Flash freeze chinos. I see the shadow shoes. And the quills facing upwards. What do you think of the new Helldivers update? I've got to get like I've got to figure out how to get into Helldivers. Go ahead, LOL. Okay, here we go. I've got to figure out how to get into Helldivers. I feel pretty bad for not being a gigantic Helldivers fan, you know, fighting for liberty and all of that stuff, but every time that I try to get into Helldivers, something about it just isn't clicking, and I kind of get bored. Here we go. You guys ready? Oh, I've already got it shown. Look at this guy. Flash freeze chinos. I freaking love this. Like, I love this so much. Sonic hasn't had, like, the kind of energy that would make many a child create their own OCs in a very long time, because the Sonic franchise has not taken itself too seriously the last couple of years. Like, it's been mostly, like, a self-referential comedy franchise. So I hope that there are lots of young kids coming out of the Sonic 3 movie and just being like, I want to make my own super-powered Sonic character. And we get more works of art like this. How old were you when you made this? Because, like, I'm looking at stuff like the mouth, and that's a level of stylization that not every kid quite understands. So, like, I am actually kind of impressed by that. 10 years. Okay, yeah. Where did you learn how to do that mouth? That's fun stuff. That's really fun stuff, dude. I like that quite a bit. Looks like a Sonichu character. No. No. No, Sonichu is a very specific kind of... Sonichu is like... Sonichu is... There is like a level of creative bankruptcy in Sonichu that's hard to articulate because there is not an ounce of originality in there. The name is Sonichu. It's Sonic and Pikachu. It's two things that somebody else made mashed into one. So I am not gonna even... No. Like, Flash Freeze Chinos gets my seal of approval. As well as the name is just, like, a lot of fun. That's, like, a really good name. Ugh. Dunno, just drew it. You just drew... You can't just say, I don't know, I just drew this insane thing. Like, it has to have come from somewhere, you know? Because, like, there's a level of just, like... insanity in the design and the name and the crazy smile that guy has, where it's like, what was 10-year-old Mr. Nowhere inspired by? What was going on? Was it cold outside? Were there icicles on the window? Sonichu would bring back Halo. Well, you know, you say that as a joke, but I feel like heads would definitely turn if Sonichu was in the next Halo game. Yeah, I think, in all honesty, if Halo is to return, I think that you need a Council of Nerds type situation that allowed the Bungie-era Halo games to foster. Kind of like what Hugo Martin has going on over at id Software with the Doom reboot. Those Doom games, they're so full of personality. Just because it's like similarly a den of creative nerds that are lording over that franchise. Unfortunately, some of it is a little bit lost, I think, with the loss of Mick Gordon on the music side, but at least from a creative ambition standpoint, you do still have quite a bit of nerdy fun to be had. Like Doom the Dark Ages. Streamer calls his fans insane. Love to see it. I think it drew that in church once before I took my faith too seriously. Dude, that's the best place to do something like, to make like wild character designs and stuff. I love it. Did you also draw in church? Because I did that as well. I actually remember kind of like, Orthodox services last like 2 hours, an hour and a half, which as like a little autistic kid, that might as well be all day. So I remember many times saying that I needed to go to the bathroom and just like sneaking off with a sketchbook and drawing. And that's where some of my art pieces came from. I am assuming you know the bitrate is rough. Is the bitrate rough on the stream? Okay, yeah, I see the frame rate's a little bit low. Let me see if I can fix that in any way, because it's not lagging on my screen, I promise. Stream. Output, maybe? General. Advanced? I can't modify the stream while it's in progress, can I? Yeah, I see that lag. And trust me, that lag is not reflective of the game itself. Did most of my drawing listening to the preacher. Mom and Dad would let me draw in the pews. That's very kind of your mom and dad. In orthodoxy, you stand. you don't get pews. What pews? So I'm a little bit jealous that you at least got seats. The bitrate is a bit of a meme. Okay, well that's a problem. I don't want it to be a meme. Being rough is one thing. Being a meme is unacceptable. I'm pretty satisfied, though, with this score counter that I've got ticking up. You see that? I'm almost at 600. Wow, okay, we're at 600. I was going to see if I could get it up to 700, but it looks like the round's over. Oh, wow, we got it up to 900. Okay, cool. Okay, let me see if I can fix this now. I'm using currently Streamlabs. Okay, show additional settings. Capture cursor, no. Madness. This is madness. Is there really no way to adjust the quality of the stream via Streamlabs once the stream is started? Because that doesn't seem right. There is no clear direction for the Halo series story anymore. No epic stakes. Yeah, and to be fair, I don't quite know if that's like the strongest aspect of the Halo series, because I feel sort of like the best aspect of the Halo series, the strongest aspect in terms of like the stakes, were the Human Covenant War. The Forerunners, I don't think that their plight, like their stuff is lore. You know, none of it I think is compelling enough to be the main driving force of the story. Like their story was done before the first Halo game started. And I feel like the Human Covenant War is kind of the heart of the Halo franchise as a setting. I guess it's sort of like, could you imagine if somebody nowadays tried to pitch a sequel to Lord of the Rings? Like, there's just, like, no gas in the tank, you know? Even Tolkien never really got a sequel done for Lord of the Rings. Because he did, like, prequel stuff, you know, expanding on the backstory, did some epilogue stuff, but the Lord of the Rings, like, that conflict was kind of, like, the core heart of that creative world, that there isn't really much else you can do after that conflict is resolved. And I think Halo is in a very similar place, where they can come up with all the, like, wild directions that they want, the endless this, the mantle of responsibility that, but none of it is going to be quite as powerful as just the core trilogy. And so I think the best direction, honestly, for the series to go in is almost like a Star Wars-esque direction. You focus more on the world surrounding the trilogy than you do the actual events. Or, like, what happens next? You know, what's the next big bad? For understandable reasons, I know you'd all disagree, the Storm Rifle is much better than the Pulse Rifle, aesthetically and functionally. I think aesthetically, the Pulse Carbine, I like the look of it better than the Storm Rifle. But that's not saying much, because I think both designs leave a little bit to be desired. I think what the Pulse Carbine really, really needs is those weird, I'm not even sure what you'd call them. The weird Covenant-y patterns on the side of it that, like, the Plasma Rifle had and the Plasma Repeater. Like, just that kind of hallmark of Covenant automatic technology. Amazon is working on Lord of the Rings sequels somehow. Are they?
What?
Aren't they? You mean the prequel, right? Rings of Power? The officially non-canon prequels that are, due to weird legal complications, evoking the visuals of the Peter Jackson movies, but cannot officially be considered prequels to the Peter Jackson movies. You're not talking about those, right? Wow. Sorry, I got really into that for a second. Bip-Bap, he's a tough grunt because all he needs are, like, I think 3 well-placed shots on you and you're toast. Because it's going to eat through your shields and then kill you. So whenever Bip-Bap, I'm, like, Bip-Bap is looking at me, and that little gun of his is pointing right at me, like my my chest tightens up. Let me scroll up a little bit. My condolences, that would be rough for anyone, says Mr. Nowhere. Yeah, it was pretty rough. Orthodoxy gets a little bit much. At least if you're young. How are Halo Infinite mods doing right now? I think the modding scene seems to be sort of like dead, which is unfortunate. Because, and not for like a lack of trying, because it does seem like there's actually like a couple interesting things that folks were working on. Like there is a rebalanced campaign available. And I've played a little bit of it. It's actually pretty neat. It unlocks certain features for the AI, like it relocks certain features, unlocks certain features, like grunts, for example. I don't think that they're allowed to overcharge their plasma shots. It's only the grunt ultras in that, as well as the jackals. Then there's things like the brutes. The brutes, they are more likely to rampage if one of their kin is killed. There's also a couple other things like weapon rebalancing, which is really neat. As well as removing the ammo containers. Like, you can't restock your ammo, if I recall correctly. But all of your ammo is, like, doubled, or in some cases, like, tripled, like, your carrying capacity. Because the logic being, like, well, we've gotten rid of, like, these random ammo stockpiles, so you might as well carry more ammo with you. But the idea is supposed to be to encourage you to pick up a new gun when you run out of ammo. Not just, like, hanging on to the weapon because it's your primary gun. Which, Halo has always had weapon stockpiles, but I think Halo Infinite was probably the most, like, video gamey incarnation of it, because it was kind of like this one-stop shop, like a barrel with a hologram hovering above it, versus, if you remember in the Bungie games, it would be like a locker, and the locker was open, and you'd see all these different magazines and stuff, and you go up to it, your ammo's refilled, and you're like, got it, this was an ammo locker. Yeah, so, like, people can mod if they want, if they really, really want. But for some reason they aren't. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can fix the bitrate. Is the audio at least good? Can somebody tell me that? Because, I mean, if the audio is good, then at least I feel better. Here, I'm deleting a couple of stuff to see if maybe this will, like, fix it. Audio's fine, but I can't hear the game. Okay, that may be actually just genuinely because I have the audio really low. Yeah, look who's Onyx rank. Here, we'll see what it sounds like now. Can't hear you? The devs really need to make a few named grunt bosses instead of cloning old Bip-Bap a trillion times. Well, what else could you do? You know? Really, what else is there? Bip-Bap is like he's like the apex grunt. There's no other grunt you could make. You've got the Grunt Mule, but that's the only other one. Briglard, I think is his name. Like, Bip-Bap is the crazy one with the shields and the most powerful grunt weapon in the game. And then the other one is a boss Grunt Mule. And that's it. You can't really go any higher than those two. A Grunt Goblin? Well, a Grunt Goblin would require a lot of development time, and that's the problem. Because you'd have to actually, like, make a new enemy. I think what he was talking about was taking a grunt, recoloring it, giving it a silly name, and then throwing it into the combat loop. And I'm not sure that there was any way that you could make a boss interesting. A rocket grunt that misfires would be funny. I agree, but I don't know if grunts are allowed to carry rocket launchers in Halo Infinite. I know that there's like weird, odd rules for the AI that don't make a lot of sense. Like elites, for example, they can't carry one-handed weapons. You'll never see an elite in Halo Infinite holding a plasma pistol or a needler. Which is a creative choice I don't necessarily agree with. Ha-ha. Was that you? Oh, I thought I heard you. I thought I heard you laughing like a French person. Sorry guys, I thought I heard my wife laughing like an evil French person. This thing's wild, dude. If the next Halo game is trash, do we lose Halo? I'm not sure, to be honest, because Halo is unusually strong as a brand. If, you know, maybe if like the game series isn't doing too well, the Halo brand is usually always doing fine. There were even some years at Xbox where Halo merchandise was more profitable than the Halo games, as wild as that sounds. So, like, if the next Halo game, you know, is also, like, a disappointment, it doesn't matter. Like, people are going to buy Halo stuff. Where's Bip-Bap's little pistol? There it is. Okay. Hon hon. Ho ho ho, oui oui baguette. Le petit fromage. Ho ho ho. I think Halo needs to do smaller games for the next mainline game. Yeah. I think more collaborative projects, I think, would maybe be, like, as for, like, Halo Studios, I think what they need to focus on is getting an actual, like, creative team in place. Because the biggest problem with them is the revolving door of creatives. They need to get a group of creatives and trust their vision of Halo. And, well, they have to have a good, you know, vision for Halo, first of all. But another big factor of it is also a lot of that, like, focusing on some spin-off stuff. Like, I think Halo Studios, what they probably need to do is they need to do that supposed remake of Combat Evolved. Because I think rebuilding the first game is a good team-building exercise and a good way to kind of get into the mindset that started the franchise by kind of following in their footsteps. You know, the footsteps of the originals. And then also, I think, before the next mainline Halo game, getting spin-off stuff. doing more collaborative Halo Wars 2 like projects with other studios. Not like RTS games specifically, but hopefully you understand what I mean. Trusting that other developers can do a damn good job at Halo and overseeing it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you dislike The Rise of Skywalker? I can't rate it numerically, but I do not have a lot of respect for that movie. I want to see more collabs too. People love Halo in other games like Fortnite and Siege. Collabs are a great way to kind of get is nobody gonna revive me? Okay. More in the likes of Spartan Assault, you mean? Spartan Assault works. I think Spartan Assault can work. What I'm mostly thinking about, though, is, like, you can do your little, like, mobile game stuff, but I'm also thinking of just trying to kind of fill the market where there are currently gaps. Think of, like, Helldivers. How, what Helldivers, I think, did really, really well is that there is a gap in, like, PvE type content. Like, obviously Destiny exists, but Destiny is extremely different. Destiny is first person, super, like, first person shooter combat-y, raid-y type stuff, where Helldivers is a little bit more militaristic, horde mode type stuff. You know, it's less about fighting, doing, like, a Covenant dance against enemy types, and it's more about mowing down hundreds and hundreds of enemies. And Helldivers saw that there aren't a lot of games that are doing that. And then much later, I think, came Warhammer. Ironically, Warhammer kind of is filling the gap that, like, Gears of War isn't. And that's the kind of stuff that I think Halo needs to identify. It needs to not, like, okay, well, Halo now needs to have a horde mode shooter thing, spin-off game. More so, Halo needs to figure out, what are people playing currently? What's the kind of game that people maybe would like that there aren't a lot of right now? Or, like, the current big one is not fulfilling their desires. I think multiplayer PvE type stuff is risky right now, because there are a lot of things to choose from right now in regards to PvP. Call of Duty has the team-based modes with respawns kind of locked down. Not Halo. Fortnite and Apex Legends, they got Battle Royale. You've got Marvel Rivals right now, which has the hero shooter crowd locked in, as well as Overwatch. So it's like, what? And then you've got Helldivers as well as Warhammer right now that are treating PvE fans quite well. So what's there? What's there? What is a gap right now that exists? A type of game that people are in desperate need of. Halo Big the Cat Fishing. Yeah, a Halo Big the Cat Fishing spin-off game would definitely turn some heads. Oh boy, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes! Okay. I thought I wasn't going to make that revive. Did you see that? Damn it. Okay. I'm trying to think right now. I think that there is potential in persistent world, large-scale conflict type stuff. But that's risky because that basically requires a healthy, thriving player base, and that's not guaranteed. I don't know. Like, could you imagine if you were able to marry the concepts of Destiny's patrol zones with Battlefield, where you've got like persistent worlds that have like drop-in, drop-out technology that also somehow incorporate PvP elements to them. So like a never-ending large-scale warfare match. Not even sure if that's entirely like possible. Chief's the series mascot. They can't just leave him alone. Yeah, Chief is the series' mascot, and you don't necessarily need to leave Chief alone, you know? That's also another thing, which is, I think Halo would do better by not taking itself so damn seriously. In regards to, like, what's the next step in Master Chief's journey? Instead, focus more on just telling individual stories with him. The guy's been around the block for a while. I'm sure he's been in more battles than just the original trilogy and the, 9 books that he's featured in. Plenty of fun little adventures for him to go on, whether he's young, old. Here's a hot take. Halo 5 Rex are better than Infinite's microtransactions. What do you guys think about that? Because there was a time where I would have said Halo 5's Rex were the worst thing in the world, but man, as time goes on, I do appreciate that Halo 5's Rex system. There was, like, I guess, ways to earn everything in-game, even if it was via some pretty, like, slimy stuff, you know, basically gambling. But also, I think a lot of it is being able to play Halo 5 now, post, you know, kind of like the sunsetting of its support, with all the content freed up and open. There's a little bit of, like, you don't quite remember how it really was when Halo 5 launched. I remember those rec weapons that everyone really likes. Once upon a time, those things were not in custom games. They were not in Arena. You could only use them if you had pulled one out of a loot box. And that was it. Like, as far as Forge goes, custom games goes, all of that, off limits. Nuh-uh. You're not getting access to these. And it took a lot of community fighting and pleading and begging for them to eventually kind of relent and add them into customs. And it wasn't until basically the tail end of that game's life cycle. Bro, you ran straight into those nades. I did. I did. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. There we go. Alright, we're in our little cozy spot. LNG, remember the leak before Infinite came out that said Chief would go back in time to see his dying mother? There are a lot of really dumb leaks. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? The big issue that I have with both of these systems, like Halo Infinite and Halo 5, is Halo Infinite does not have a progression system in the sense that there are unlocks. Like, you know, you can't unlock anything. There are rewards that you can get by participating in activities and completing battle passes, but there isn't like a core kind of, you know, unlock everything and then get started on the live service grind, because there's nothing to unlock. You immediately just start with the live service grind. And then Halo 5's problem is there also isn't a progression system, it's just loot boxes. So there isn't like a sense of unlocking things and kind of progressing through kind of like the ranks and doing the unlock tree. It's just constantly pulling that slot machine. So, like, both systems are just inherently unsatisfying, but in completely different ways, because Halo 5, a bonus, and I'm not going to say that this was good, by the way, a bonus to the slot machine aspect of it was that there was always a level of, like, I certainly do hope I'm going to get this thing eventually. It kind of reminds me a bit of Halo Reach's lottery. You know, after you beat a match, you have the chance at getting bonus XP, where it's like, hey, that's kind of fun. But with Halo Infinite, there kind of isn't that, like, grind outside of just getting to Onyx rank, because you want the Master Chief Core, which, that's a pretty damn cool way to get people to get to max rank. It's got me doing it right now. I really want that freaking Master Chief, you know? Where Halo 5 didn't really have anything like that. Oof. How was Sonic 3? Sonic 3 is the best video game adaptation that I have ever seen on the big screen. I like that movie a lot. And I hope that it makes a lot of money. And I also hope that Marvel can start quaking in their boots a little bit, because Sonic is a lot cooler than the Avengers. There we go, we got him. Oh, I did not crack open a Beppis. What I cracked open was a Bellevue grapefruit, calorie-free, sugar-free, sodium-free, pure aqua flavored sparkling water from Aldi. You can get a 12-pack of these babies for $3 at Aldi. And it is my favorite flavoring water. I think it's better than Pellegrino. Oof. I don't drink soda. Sonic 3 is how you do fan service. Well, Sonic 3 isn't, like... Yeah, I guess it is fan service. But it's also, like, extremely clever in how it adapts the source material. You know, we talk about, like, adaptations, video game adaptations, and thanks to, you know, misfires like the Halo show, that's kind of like a loaded topic. But Sonic 3 is evidence that sometimes a one-to-one retelling of the game isn't, like, the best bet. You've got to adapt it. That's good. Don't drink soda. If I didn't have Dr. Pepper, I would kill myself. I guess it's just like it's all the sugar in soda. Here, you know what? I'm gonna bounce from this, and just so I can free up my mental faculties to have more interesting conversations with you guys, we're gonna bump down the difficulty. Last time I truly grinded to get something in Halo was Helios Skrill. Then to find out they released it for rec packs a month later. Yeah, that was pretty. I remember that. It was like one of the variants, right? Like Halo 5 did that, I think, to load up the loot boxes a little bit. Every piece of armor in Halo 5 had a variant of it, and it would basically be like this helmet, but there are stripes along it, and it's called like I don't know. I'm not going to try to make up a name. I remember that though. Not great. We don't have those in America. Okay, that's fine. I guess LaCroix would be a good alternative, though LaCroix is a little bit too like artificial tasting. For me, at least. Hang on, I'm about to release all of this carbonation that has been bubbling up in my stomach. Excuse me. Okay, I now feel much lighter. I heard my wife giggle. Come on, you. Yeah, this is a little bit more my speed. I don't normally like burping on stream. I don't like when other people do it, but I feel relaxed with you guys. We're not doing it for comedy value. We're doing it to ease discomfort. Wait. Oh, it's still here. The sniper rifle. Okay. I want to see if I can... How many shots does it take to take down a Phantom with the sniper? Oh, my wife, she finally saw The Matrix for the first time since she was young. Matrix is a pretty good movie. It holds up really well. I mean, not the technology. Like, it's very silly when they're like, whoa, it's so futuristic, and it's like super, super outdated technology. But The Matrix is cool. Getting real tired on my end. Gonna hop off now. Have a great stream. Sorry to leave so soon. Don't worry, Frozen Fire. Take care of yourself, dude. I never felt so cheated. That and Infinite's launch kind of broke my motivation to play Halo in years. But I still occasionally check in on content creators to see what's going on. There is a cure to that, Navi. The cure to it is playing Halo with a friend that really likes Halo. Or teaching a friend how to play Halo. Rediscovering my love for Halo came from me teaching my wife how to play Halo Infinite. As well as getting out the old original systems and playing your favorite Halo campaign on the original hardware that it released for. Yeah, there's, like I said before, I think on a previous stream, Infinite, something I respect quite a bit about Infinite now, thanks to playing it with my wife, is there are a lot of like things that we as Halo fans just like understand inherently because we have like muscle memory built up that other people may not know. Like weapon spawns, the general flow of like maps, when heavier weapons are coming in, what is a good weapon versus what isn't a good weapon, and so things like that you just saw. The sniper rifle, with a yellow outline around it, which connotates like importance. To me, I think that that's unnecessary because I know what a sniper rifle is, but to my wife, who, you know, was new to Halo, stuff like that helps a little bit. Like, it helps her know that that is a more important weapon than others. So it was, you know, and things like the weapon racks, which I think I didn't like, because I was like, no, I don't like change. I like Halo being this time capsule, where everything stays exactly the same. But for her, it's like, it helps her find the weapons faster to look out for these very specific telegraphed weapon pods that are always located on walls. And it helps her get into the combat loop a lot quicker. And it made for a less frustrating learning experience for her. So being able to play Halo Infinite with somebody who had never played Halo before, it was a good way for me to fall back in love with Halo. True, but I don't want color-coded guns like in Fortnite. Yeah, I don't think Halo needs color-coded guns either. More so just talking about it from my experience. I wish you could disable the aura in settings, though. I agree. I do wish there were a couple of things that you could opt out of. I would have quite liked, like Halo Infinite. Don't get me wrong, Halo Infinite, its accessibility options are awesome, and I actually really, really like how modular they are. Because Halo UI stuff is pretty tricky. A lot of it is kind of locked in and baked in. There isn't a lot of room for, you know, tweaking things. So the fact that they were able to get us a lot of stuff, like disabling the HUD, moving HUD elements around the screen, turning on and off the outlines, you know, like screen shake and all these visual effects on the screen, like you had sliders for all of these things. Something I would have liked for them to push a little bit further was also letting us disable outlines on the weapons laying on the ground, as well as giving us the ability to rearrange where things are on the HUD. So that if you wanted, you know, you could, like, make, basically, the Halo 2 HUD. If you're feeling nostalgic for it, you could shrink down that health bar, stick it above the motion tracker. Just move stuff around, you know? I would have loved for that. But hopefully next game. LNG, if you had a chance to add a brand new enemy to Halo, how would you design it and what weapon would it use? So is this a new enemy to, like, the Covenant? Or I guess Banished? Or would this be, like, a brand new enemy faction? Oh boy. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of interesting conversations happening right now. in the chat, and I wanna be able to read them, but I also want to make sure that I'm not embarrassing myself during gameplay, which I guess mission failed in that case, but. Oh. I guess for the Banished? Okay. If it was for the Banished, something I would probably do, to be honest, is I would have an enemy type that is probably... This is going to sound super weird, and it's inspired by... Do you remember the, what are they called? The Slug Men. That cut enemy from Halo Combat Evolved. The one that kind of looks like tongues. It looks like a tongue with legs. I visualized those guys, like, in order to get around quickly, rolling themselves up into a circle, and then kind of like Droideka style, like rolling across the battlefield to get to you quicker. Those guys, I would probably have them... They wouldn't be anything too crazy. They'd probably have plasma pistols, maybe needlers or something, but... Something like that, where it's just kind of like, shock troops that are grunt adjacent, to where they're not too much of a problem to take care of, but they can get to a place quicker and don't really require being dropped off via a dropship. You know, because they're able to just get across the battlefield so fast. And so I was just picturing something like tapeworm-like a flat enemy with legs, arms, like weird beady eye things, maybe like a headset of some kind that has glowing eyes. They would probably have, like, because I'd want them to stick out in combat, and they would not speak English. I'd not have them speak English. They would have, like, a bizarre chatter, like the way that they speak. They speak in their own language. It sounds very modulated and kind of, well, alien-sounding. And they... You know they're coming because you see them rolling... And then they uncurl, and they kind of join the grunts in, like, sidestepping, hopping to the side, and just, like, shooting at you. So, nothing too crazy, nothing that shakes up the combat loop in a big way, but a new silhouette that you haven't seen before in a Halo game. And a new noise that you haven't heard before with their chattering. He's describing the skirmishers of Reach. Not quite. Not quite. They're wider. They're wider. I'm thinking of something that's wide. Ugh. Would they have shields? No. No. They would not have shields. Probably even something that's like, they're almost like slightly mechanical. Now that I'm like in my brain, I can see it in my brain, the creature that I'm describing. The helmet, what I'm envisioning is the helmet that it is wearing with, like, the eyes and stuff like that, and maybe even the synthetic, like, you know, chitter-chatter of their voices, their weird barks and squeaks as they kind of hop to the side, shooting their plasma pistols at you. Maybe that headset is what allows them to be upright and do all of these things. Because maybe there's something about them that is not quite as intelligent, and the headset is kind of grafted onto this weird eel slug thing. And it allows it to kind of stand upright. Maybe the legs and arms are robotic, to be honest. They're grafted onto it. And when you get a headshot, what you're doing is you're not shooting the brain of the creature. What you're doing is you're disabling the control mechanism that allows it to move its arms and legs and function more, I guess, intelligently Like you shoot off that helmet thing and it's like, you know, like digital scream, sparks are spraying everywhere, and you can see the helmet ripping off of the wet, slimy top of this slug thing. You know, the wires are pulling out from under its skin, burrowed into it, and it's the whole chassis is kind of detaching from the slug, and all that's left is this wormy, slimy little thing now wiggling around on the ground. And you can like punch it if you want to properly kill it, or you can just leave it alone. Like, it's fine. It's not sentient. It's back to being like an animal, you know? Like, it's the helmet thing, the apparatus that's attached to it, which makes it function as a banished unit. Without that, it's basically like a leech that you'd find in a lake or something. How would you destroy the headset? Headshot. Like, I'm not thinking of anything crazy. I'm not thinking of, like, the most inventive, like, this thing's gonna have a crazy innovative combat loop. It's basically a grunt that can roll up into a ball. Like, to get places quicker. But I'm just thinking of, like, more silhouettes that you haven't seen before in a Halo game. You know, just some unique stuff. Like, these guys would work you'd think about it in the same way that you'd think about skirmishers and grunts in terms of their combat roles, where the head is always exposed, they are not usually armed with anything stronger than a pistol or a needler. And they are definitely there as cannon fodder more than they are as anything meaningful to kind of drive the combat loop. Only concern I'd have is that hunters kind of have the slug/worm thing kind of locked in. But hopefully the leech aspect of it, that it's not really a worm, it's more of like a tapeworm or like something flat looking, you know, which allows it to kind of roll up the way that it does. Because there are some, like, easy things that you could probably do, which is you could have different hunter types, different grunt types or something, but what I think would make Halo a little bit more fun, actually, is adding more aliens. And not necessarily shit like the Yon Het. I think those guys are stupid, and they need to be forgotten about quickly, because that is a bad, dumb character that doesn't belong in Halo. Would the worm be blue? Blue's a fun idea. I was thinking of it just being kind of like honestly, like kind of brown. And then the headset is the thing with the most color. Like, if they're banished, their headset would be kind of, crap. I really wish I had, like, drawing stuff on my computer. That way, because I see it. I see an image in my brain now of this creature. Maybe I could get a sketchbook. Because there's a sketchbook behind me on the floor, and I could quickly sketch it up and then take a picture with my phone. And then just share the picture on the monitor. Because I see it. It's not like a helmet, it's more of like a apparatus. Like, you think of, like, the body of a leech and how it kind of looks like a long tongue. And it's kind of this wet, slimy thing that has no form outside of just being flat. And it's like, almost think of, like, Dr. Octopus from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. This mechanical device that is embedded along the creature, which allows it to hold itself upright, and it's got mechanical limbs that allow it to, like, run around, and it's got, like, two little, like, sensory-like eyes that almost look like Sam Fisher's goggles, like they're glowing green. And then once you kill it by doing a headshot, the apparatus is what's damaged, and it detaches rather violently from the eel, because it's just like, you know, it completely malfunctions and collapses. And so the eel kind of, like, returns to eel. Like, something about the apparatus allows the eel to be more intelligent when it's connected. Now the question would be, did the Banish invent the technology, or was it something that this eel alien unit, its society, invented? Like, almost like a race of weird slug creatures that all from a young age, like, augment their intelligence with these, like, with these technologies. And without the technology, like, their brains are too simplistic to be capable of anything more advanced. Just something I'm thinking out loud. I'm glad I got your brain juices flowing with that question. Yeah, that was a good question. That was fun. Aquatic species enhances. Yeah, something like that. Trying to think of another. I hate that the production studio that gave us Nightfall introduced rubber forehead aliens to Halo. I could never get into Star Trek because the aliens are so weird and unpleasantly cheap. I like that aspect of Star Trek. I mean, not like modern Star Trek. Modern Star Trek's, like, annoying. Because it's trying to make its rubber aliens look at once cheap, but also, like, really advanced. And so I think it just ends up looking stupid. But, yeah. If you guys ever heard, so the Yon Het, which are an alien that showed up in Halo Nightfall, the Yon Het, it was basically a guy in a rubber mask and, like, a stupid sci-fi jumpsuit. And they were like, it's an alien, another creature. And it was very bad and very stupid. And the way that the production the production story of it is that the studio that was producing Halo Nightfall, or that was creating it, they wanted that scene where Mike Coulter interrogates an alien, and it was cheaper to have it be a guy wearing a rubber mask as the alien than a CGI creature, like putting an Elite there or something. So they stuck this rubber mask on an actor. And when Frank O'Connor got to the set of Nightfall to kind of, like, see, you know, like, hey, how's the production coming along? He saw the Yon Het and panicked because of how stupid it looked. And there was kind of this crisis meeting at 343 where they were like, what the fuck do we do about this stupid thing that this production studio did? One of the things that they were thinking maybe they could do is explain that it was a young prophet. Like, it was a young San Shayum. Like, maybe they could explain away the weird design of it that way. But ultimately what they decided to do was make it a canonical new alien race. Because by that point, it was too late. Like, the scenes were being shot. Like, the creature was in, you know? And that's how Halo got its worst alien. If they're unintelligent until they build the device, how did they build the device? That's a good question. Perhaps once upon a time, they were... If you wanted to get, like, super nerdy, you could say maybe this, like, creature, these, like, slug men, eel men things, maybe their species was a pet or a servant species of another alien race. And all it takes is one of them with the neurological augmentation escaping from captivity and making it back into its home environment. And then from there, it begins building more, because it's, you know, it's neurologically augmented, it's more intelligent, it knows how to operate autonomously, it's not an animal anymore. And so it begins making more apparatuses like the one that strengthens its intelligence, and it begins giving it to more members of the wild species that are just like swimming around being weird slug leeches. And there you go, you've got a society that is dependent on their intelligence, and their society is dependent on this technology that artificially gives them the ability to be sentient. And because they are weird eel slugmen creatures, you have an excuse for a lot of fun and cool-looking animations in combat, because they'd be very, like, rubbery and stretchy and squishy. That's mostly what I was thinking. Because I'd want, like... Halo has a lot of, like, buff alien dudes, you know? You have, like, the brutes, you have the elites. Then you had the Didact. And the thing about the Harbinger, like, you know, Harbinger doesn't really do a lot. But something I appreciate about her is she isn't also a buff dude, you know? Like, she's kind of got this, like, weird aquatic thing going on. Like, her face has, like, a squid-like beak on it. And her limbs are very long, very flowy and stuff. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. I like that stuff. And so I'm like, if I was to make an alien, yeah, I'd want it to not look like a conventional alien. I'd want it to be something like weird, rubbery, and squishy and stretchy. That way you could have like a really unique silhouette in combat. Oh, worm pooping pills? My wife is giggling. He's crazy? Pooping pills? A new alien with big, wet, stinky feet would be a cool addition to the sample. Yeah, pooping pills. Pooping pills is wild right now. I'd like a new methane race where they can be crazy as shit. Yeah, methane race could be fun, but the grunts already exist, man. Like, they've got the gas on lockdown, you know? I'm trying to think of some other wacky, weird stuff that would also make for, like, a fun... just a fun silhouette in combat. Or fun animations in combat. I think... something monkey-like could be fun. Something with, like, a curly tail. Like, not like a monkey exactly, you know? It doesn't have to look like a monkey. But that idea of, like... of, like, a little guy with arms and feet and a tail, and he's, like, hopping around and, like, using his tail to hang off of, like, branches or something like that while he shoots at you. That could be fun, right? A while ago, I confused some fan art with official concept art from Bungie of, like, what if jackals were more chameleon-like and they had a tail. And one of the bits, like, they had the bug eyes, you know, the silly chameleon eyes that those lizards have, where they're looking in, like, all directions. And the concept art was of a jackal with those eyes and a curly tail hanging upside down from a branch with a beam rifle. And I was like, that's fun. Like, that's a fun idea for a creature. Right? Like, the concept, the artwork was fan done, but it was so good that it fooled me into thinking it was actually an official bit of concept art from Combat Evolved. A worm fart race? Says my wife. Hear me out, an alien war hippo. That's fun. Well, okay, would it... Hippos, unfortunately, they look like... Okay. This is going to sound weird, but I think some of you will understand what I mean. The hippopotamus, the creature, in the real life, is a little bit too soft looking. Like, it gives dragon tails, but in real life. And I don't know if that could work in Halo. Like, just how round their snout is, and then the big two white, like, almost baby-like teeth. There's something about that that's a little bit too, like, too dragon tails for Halo. Yeah, they're adorable, hippos. I mean, I wouldn't want to be attacked by one, but they're cute-looking creatures. Hippos look like cuddly pillows. Yeah, sort of. I love. Okay. Okay, guys. I grabbed my sketchbook. Ow. I grabbed my sketchbook. While we search for the next match, I'm going to quickly sketch out the slug. Slug head. Alien worm guy or whatever. And it's going to slightly riff off the slug men, because I think that those guys already have a pretty solid design. And this is going to be super rough, okay? So don't get too upset with this, but hopefully something interesting can come from it. Is it searching? No? Okay. Take us away. Find us another match. Okay, he's going to have little... I don't know if these are going to be screws. I'll have to, like, riff on that. I'm doing this under duress. Or not duress, no. I'm doing this for fun. But I will have to revisit this at some point to further refine it, but... You know, add some more alien-y technology. Because right now he looks like Bender from Futurama. Just a little bit.
Worm.
Yeah, it's a worm with a meanie arm.
He shops on Amazon.
The worm shops on Amazon?
Here on Prime Day.
On Prime Day.
With his big arm.
With his big arm?
He uses it to use the mouse to shop on Amazon.
Yeah, that's what he does? Mm-hmm. So my wife says that the worm, the banished worm creature thing that I'm drawing, shops on Amazon on Prime Day with his worm arm. That's primarily what they're for. There are better artists than I who are watching this stream that can hopefully identify the spirit of what I am trying to draw very, very, very quickly. Okay. I'll share it after this. And they can probably identify weaknesses where the silhouette can be brought out a little bit stronger, but... There we go. We got that grunt. Worm man. What have lamprey teeth? Not sure, to be honest. The worms should worship capitalism and think the Great Journey will make the worms have a monopoly on luxury items once it's complete. As funny as that is, I don't see these worm things as being Covenant. I see them being closer to Banished. Just because of the technology aspect, I guess. And I could see them almost being like chop shop type welders, and because okay, if it's like basically what these are cyberpunk slugs. Cyberpunk slugs, okay, their whole race is augment based because the worm itself has this like cybernetic back brace that artificially increases its intelligence and gives it sentience and self-awareness. And that's not very Covenant-like, because as far as I remember, the Covenant hated the concept of modern medicine because they were so, like, batshit crazy. Oh, my guy is back up. I was gonna go revive him. All right. I think it would take Bungie to come. I think it would take Bungie to come back and also a full reboot and return to form for the series that Halo 3 and Reach was, and have all the gameplay and magic of those games with new hardware. Yeah, it's... I don't think right now pursuing, like, the post-trilogy is, like, the thing that will get people interested. I think telling more stories during the Human Covenant War, whether it's via a reboot or just, you know, telling alternative stories, like, it's going to take going back in time, I think, a little bit to get people back on board with the Halo franchise. Was that a Black Ops 4 logo down there on Steam? Was I crazy? Black Ops 4 isn't on Steam. Ah. This is the best round of Grunt Firefight. I friggin' love when we get the hill here, because it's just a killing floor. I mean, look at this. Yeah, whenever we get this map on legendary difficulty, I freaking love when we get to this part of the firefight. Like, just hearing the metals go up and up and up and up. Like, my brain right now is so happy. Alright. Good round, good round. What are your thoughts on Black Ops? What are your thoughts on Call of Duty Black Ops 6 being rumored to have AI for map design and loading screens? The loading screens, I think, aren't even like a rumor. Like, it just is using AI. As for maps, I'm not sure, but I would believe it. Like, I don't think AI could create the map, but I do believe that AI could probably create the block out. Like, they probably have telemetry over at Activision that allows them to see, like, heat maps, where people die, what are the most popular sight lines in any given Call of Duty game. They probably have all sorts of stuff like that that help inform, like, an AI that could generate blockouts for their maps. And in that case, I could see that being a thing, but I'm not sure if the actual arting up of a map is something that AI can do yet, because that requires a little bit more of, like, the precision of a real developer. Oh boy. Alright, let's get you up. Come on. Do you ever feel bad when you hear the noises the grunts make when they die? Yeah. Yeah. I do. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. To be honest, I really want to know what's happening with Earth in the Halo universe. It feels more or less ignored now. Well, I don't think Earth has ever been, like, important. Because, like, Earth, outside of, like, Halo 2 and Halo 3, Earth has never been, like, a... It's hard to explain. Like, Halo as a franchise is... Because of the sci-fi nature of things, Earth is almost handled like a city. You know? Like, whatever happens on Earth specifically doesn't... I don't think it would be compelling enough to tell stories around. I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. Earth has only been invaded by aliens, like, twice, I think, in Halo canon. Once by the Covenant, and then a second time by Cortana's robot AI army. And I don't think outside of that anything on Earth was that interesting. I just want a cool aesthetic for Halo maps again. It peaked with Halo 2's maps. I wouldn't say just Halo 2. You gotta give Halo 3 some credit as well. But yeah, definitely the original trilogy had some of the coolest locations. Reach was stuck on Reach, so there wasn't a lot of room for variety there. Halo 4 tried, I think. Halo 4's problem, I think, was just that look that the Reclaimer Saga aesthetic has. It makes it a little bit hard to figure out where you are. So it can be like a human city as the multiplayer map, but it's so over-detailed and kind of trying to cram everything it can into it that you lose the city aspect of it. Did they tell us what happened to Earth after the last attack? In the current canon? Not too sure. I mean, we know that Lord Hood is still, like, hooding around, doing Ron Perlman things. We'll never, like, hear him speak, because he's voiced by Ron Perlman, and that costs money. But we know Lord Hood's up to stuff, because we heard Cortana threatening him in Halo Infinite's campaign. Three was great, but the atmosphere was on fire in Halo 2. Yeah, Halo 2 had an energy that is incredibly hard to describe. It had like an energy and a spirit to it that could only have come from Halo 2, the sequel to Halo 1. You know, by the time of Halo 3, Bungie's kind of already got it in the bag, so to speak. So some of that energy is lost a little bit, because it's just like, well, of course, it's Halo 3, it's another one. Here we go. It had aura. Okay, this like worm creature. Hang on, I need to refine the silhouette just a little bit more. Cause right now it literally does just kind of look like a drone that doesn't have wings. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna give him like little like mantis like feet. Before I gave him like these little feet claw things, but I think it would look goofier and a little bit more in the spirit of Halo if he had like little like you know, like little tic tac tippy toe feet. Not too sure though if it should have, well, it should have fingers because it's going to be gripping a pistol. Okay. Still drawing this guy intensely. All I need to do is keep drawing, redrawing, and then the spirit's gonna come out of this creature. Okay, now I'm gonna take a little cheeky photo right here, and then I will share it with you guys on stream. And hopefully it's not mocked too much, but if the spirit of it is strong enough, okay. All right, I took the picture. I'm gonna figure out how I can I send it to myself on Discord? Is that a thing? Let me see if I can find myself. Message. You know what? I'll send it to my wife. There she is. I love you. This picture that I took. Select more photos. I love you. I love. Love. Okay. I sent it to her. Here, let me run. Let me run a little bit. That way I think I'm about to be kicked anyway, but that's okay. There's wifey poo. Open in browser. Oh my god. Hang on. Here it comes. Come on. There. Okay. That looks rough. And that's only because I drew it very fast and you have to unfortunately tilt your head. But sort of a little bit. Where you can see that it's like some kind of like freshwater eel or leech. And it's got this insane like exosuit that is bolted to the outside of it, and it's flexible, and it's got pins, kind of like Dr. Octopus's Sam Raimi thing. It's got these weird like goggles on it, and you can see the legs and the arms are robotic. It can tuck them in, it can roll like a droideka. That's almost what it looks like from when it's facing you. And that is my first attempt. So if anybody who is talented wants to take my vision of a weird eel, a cybernetically enhanced eel that is like running around with arms and legs and shooting a little laser pistol, if someone wants to take that and flesh it out, give it a more solid silhouette, please be my guest. LNG, the design looks good. I think it just needs more detail and shading. Oh, definitely. Like, the design, it is premature. It needs a lot more time to cook. There is a stronger silhouette that can be brought out of that rough idea. I drew that in the time between matches. Looks like it would be right with my idea of underwater Halo combat. Yes, like I was thinking of the aesthetic of Halo Combat Evolved, like kind of the super anime look that everything had. Like those weird like slug creature eel boys. They, I think, would look pretty damn cool in an anime art style alongside grunts from Halo Combat Evolved. You know, in like a Forerunner environment of some kind. That's what I was envisioning in my head. With some like really harsh shadows. What are you doing, eggs? My Shih Tzu's trashing our couch. Because he's trying to get comfy. Do Halo guns even function underwater? Yeah! I mean, why wouldn't they? I think I always had an idea in my brain, a vision of underwater Halo combat. And I was thinking of, like, grunts with little little bubbles. You know, like little space bubbles, like they were little tiny astronauts. And they're shooting their plasma pistols at you. And the plasma bolts, because they're all underwater, the plasma bolts would be like sizzling and leaving a trail of bubbles behind them as they flew through and you dodged them and stuff. And they'd be like muffled a little bit, they'd be, you know, and when you get a headshot, it would crack open the bubble, and then they'd be like, and bubbles would be everywhere, and they'd like drown. Mr. Ear Itchy, is your ear itchy? Ear! I feel like needles would fail underwater. Nah, a needler could work underwater. Anything could work underwater. You've just got to allow it to, you know? I love the cyborg banana. I was trying to give the impression of it being flat. Like its body is flat. Like, think less of a banana and think more of like a Pringle with arms and legs. Like as far as the body shape goes, but banana is funny. Do you think Master Chief has ever broken the Geneva Convention during combat? Probably. Well, I guess does the Geneva Convention of War, I think, would only apply to, like, the human race, right? Because the Geneva Convention, doesn't the Geneva Convention, like, specify that, like, combatants of different armed nations. It's like there's like wording in it that's very specific, and I'd imagine like in an interstellar conflict, I don't think the aliens would give two shits about the Geneva Convention. Therefore, I don't think we would either. Cyborg Pringle is even better. Yeah. So if there's any artists that want to take that unbelievably rough idea that I gave, just take it. The spirit is a cyborg Pringle. If you can, a cyborg Pringle with Sam Fisher like goggles for eyes. If you can take that pitch and turn it into something that looks at home in Halo, I would love you forever. Just not as much as my wife. I'm silly guy. I love you. LNG, I'm learning to draw. Give me 6 months, maybe, or less, and I'll post my own rendition to the Discord. I'm looking forward to it. Eggs! The Shih Tzu is boofing from the bedroom, which means he's probably on the... He's on the bed trashing it right now. Watch, he's gonna come running in here any second. Yeah, the Covenant's whole mission is inherently anti-Geneva Convention. Yeah, they just, you know... Like, I mean, I know that the Geneva Convention was not drawn up with, like, planetary glassing as a potential thing that could be done in times of war, but I don't think the Covenant care. Like, their whole thing is they want to kill us all. Like, no surrender. Damn it. If Ubisoft doesn't want to go bankrupt, they need to just get off their ass and release the next Splinter Cell game, and it has to actually be good. None of this Skull and Bones quadruple A crap. This... I don't... Honestly, I think the only way that you could save Ubisoft is getting it out of Yves Guillemot, like his hands. Like there's... Okay, so the reason I don't like Ubisoft games is because I think that there's an obnoxious pretentiousness to its mediocrity that's hard to explain. Like, Assassin's Creed, the way that it carries itself as a franchise and presents itself is so... Like, you can tell Assassin's Creed thinks it's so goddamn cool. But what I'm playing is the most milquetoast, boring, who actually cares open world game that they have been doing on repeat for years and years and years. Until people get mad enough that Ubisoft says, oh, we need to change up the formula, and then they just copy whatever is the current popular game on the market, and then they do that over and over and over and over again until somebody gets bored of that. And it's like, really the only thing that I could save Ubisoft is getting it out of the hands of the, unfortunately, the family that created Ubisoft. Because they are a very, very annoying group of leaders that don't seem to be aware of how... I'm trying to think of the way that I phrased it. It's like seeing Far Cry 6, a Ubisoft original. And it's like, wow, Ubisoft, you're really overvaluing your company by putting a Ubisoft original as like the official tagline of each of your releases. That is extremely bold of them to think that Ubisoft is that indicator of quality or freshness or artistic achievement. Because nothing Ubisoft makes is ever that fresh or creative. It's always built off the shoulders of better people. Or more talented, I guess, leadership. Yeah, they're extremely out of touch.
Hi, Kiki. Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Tom Clancy's XD Defiant, a Ubisoft original from Ubisoft. Rainbow Six pissed off their community with the new voice chat moderation announced at a global tournament championship. What's going on? Is there anyone here who actually liked Star Wars Outlaws? Asking as someone who hasn't played it. I don't know. I haven't touched it because it looked like a Ubisoft game, you know? And it's like... So, like, the Assassin's Creed games are on Game Pass, and my wife saw me try 2 different ones back to back. One was set in Greece, one was set in Egypt, and they were the exact same game. Exact same game. Like, the way that the game started, the timing of when you get your animal buddy your, like, bird buddy that you can throw up into the sky to tag things. Like, it was the exact same game back to back. So I don't have any interest in trying the Viking-themed one, because I'm like, okay, when are they... Is it going to be 15 minutes into the game when I get my bird friend that I can tag animals with, or what? What are we talking? Like, my wife, it even got to the point where she was like, and here is going to be the Breath of the Wild title drop. And she was right. Like, the camera pulled up from my character, and then they did the Assassin's Creed 87. Who gives a fuck? Like, the title card dropped. They use the example of your trash as a bannable offense. No slurs, just your trash. Was your trash not as like a, we will ban you if you say the phrase your trash, or more of like a, for the sake of this demonstration, here is the offense we will be banning? And they chose your trash because, you know, they're not actually going to be like, here's a demonstration of our moderation technology, and it's just the N-word on the big screen, you know? Is that what they were trying to do, or did they literally mean phrases such as your trash are even bannable? I'm playing Valhalla right now. How is it? How many minutes in to the game until you get your animal best friend that you can X-ray people and tag people with? Yeah, just all Ubisoft open world games feel the same. Like, the Assassin's Creed games, when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, that was it. That was the new formula. Every single one afterwards was just Assassin's Creed 2, but, you know, with something bolted to the side. The only one I actually enjoyed out of, like, that whole post-Assassin's Creed 2 era was Black Flag. I think the rest of them are largely ignorable and forgettable experiences. Then they took a bit of a hiatus after that one set in... Was it England? No, it was France, but for some reason everyone had English accents. And then the best thing they could come up with is, well, I guess we can copy The Witcher. And then that became the thing that they were just going to do over and over again, is ripping off The Witcher 3. And it's a bit like, I guess, like, all their other games are kind of the same. Like, Far Cry, you know, they struck gold with Far Cry 3, and then every single Far Cry game afterwards was just Far Cry 3, but with the only one that I thought actually being sort of creative was the one where you were a caveman. So there were no guns. Similar to, like, Black Flag when it comes to Assassin's Creed. But then, you know, people start getting bored of the Far Cry formula. Best thing they can come up with is Well, kids are playing Destiny, and Destiny has weapon rarities, so it's Far Cry, but we put in Destiny weapons. That's it. I liked Unity for its co-op aspects, but otherwise I agree. So Unity, I didn't really even give the time of day. Like, I know that Unity right now is getting this kind of like, it's being looked back upon with a little bit more softness, just because, you know, time has passed, the aspects of it that were genuine technological achievements are really cool, but I don't know, for me, I see like those screenshots or those like videos from Assassin's Creed Unity, and I just see like that stupid guy with his hood, and his hood, like his face is glowing because there's no shadow underneath his hood, and it's just got that Ubisoft house quality look to its visuals that I just hate, because everybody looks like, I don't know, there's something up with the way Ubisoft does their characters. Kind of like across the board, all of their video game characters, their environments look great until you see somebody. And then it's like the visuals break down because all the people look like weird paper mache characters that are like clipping through the floor, or they have really stiff walk cycles. And it's been like this for, well, to the point that I remember Unity, the worst aspects of Unity being the way its characters looked. But Ubisoft really likes the way that their human characters look for some reason. It's as samey as Call of Duty was at its most copy-paste in the mid-2010s. Yeah. Yeah, you know, Call of Duty got a lot of flack for kind of the copy-paste nature of its games, which stemmed from how fast their development cycles were to where some aspects of the games literally were like reusing content from previous games. But I'm surprised that Ubisoft got away for as long as they did, because they were doing the same thing just with open world games. You know, same with even like the Borderlands franchise. I don't know. There's a lot of game franchises out there that I'm not a fan of. Assassin's Creed, Borderlands. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'll tell you what though. I am, if the rumors are true and they are doing a Black Flag remake, I'm quite keen on that. I would definitely pay into a remake of Black Flag, if it is good. Because I think that game is genuinely awesome. I guess there were less open world games back then in comparison to first-person shooters. There were a lot less. The reason being, I think, you know, some of it was just open world games are really hard to do. As well as just memory limitations on the consoles. It's hard to remember, guys, but once upon a time, it was a technological accomplishment if an open world game on the Xbox 360 allowed you to go into a building without a loading screen. And the building is, like, detailed. Because just, like, the memory issues with the Xbox, you kind of, you know, if you wanted, like, a super, super detailed inn or something like that, it would kind of have to be its own instance that you loaded into. Otherwise, it would be just kind of like this empty bland, devoid of personality, like, hut. And it's kind of like that's like a luxury that the Xbox One PS4 generation gave us that sort of is taken for granted now. Like, I think Starfield is the first time in a very long time where people had to go back to loading screens everywhere. And maybe it's because I remember that era from the 360, but the loading screen aspect didn't tank Starfield for me. Because I was like, oh, it's one of these games, is it? I remember these on the 360. Red Dead Redemption 1 was almost ahead of its time in that regard. I remember it now. Yeah. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 1, I remember being like almost in disbelief that that game was possible. It was easily the most immersive open world game I had ever played in my life. Until Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, in which case that game became the most immersive open world game I had ever played in my life. And still to this day, it is not topped in that regard. And it makes me very upset when I see people that are like, they should remove all of these details from Red Dead Redemption 1. None of this stuff is necessary. Nobody will notice it. And it's like, I notice it. So do the 4 million people who watch those compilation videos of details in Red Dead Redemption. They notice those details too. I miss the old literal Halo loading screen. Yeah. You know, Halo's a weird one, because Halo still has loading screens. It's just that they used to be really easy to miss that it was a loading screen because of how, like, satisfying the loading screens are. As far as, like, the campaigns are concerned, I think you only had to worry about... It was Combat Evolved had loading screens, if I remember right. Then Halo 2 didn't. All you needed was that initial load, right, into the campaign, and then the missions would be seamless one after the other. And that technology kind of carried on until, if I remember right, Halo Reach. And Halo Reach was, again, like the loading screens were back, where each mission needed to load the next one. I could be misremembering. But Halo Reach was kind enough to have a really, really cool looking loading screen. And every Halo game before Reach, that initial load screen was just super, super cool. I think of like the Halo 2 one, where you've got the cool, like, I'm not even sure what you'd call that line work. And then it goes into Halo 3, where it's the foreshadowing of the Halo ring being rebuilt. ODST has the Super Monitor doing... Or Super Monitor. The Superintendent doing his superintendent things, like scanning the city and looking for you. Even Halo 4's loading screen was pretty cool. It was the new UNSC insignia, which in a weird way, something kind of in hindsight, I really appreciate that they didn't try to kind of do Reach's thing where it's like a pattern on the screen. They tried sort of to thematically connect it to Halo 3, where in Halo 3 it was a bunch of little like blue hologrammy things coming together to form the new Halo ring, and in Halo 4 it was a bunch of little blue hologrammy things coming together to form the new UNSC logo. And then Halo 5, I don't know what happened. They started using like low-resolution concept art that sometimes didn't crop properly, and sometimes you could see the post-processing effects pop in over top of the artwork about 2 seconds before the level officially loaded. So it would kind of look like your screen was bugged for a second. There was just like... something happened starting with Halo 5. The quality of the loading screens just... well, there weren't any. It was just some concept art. My heart bleeds for 343. Yeah, it does seem like they in the shift to the Halo 5 version of the Halo engine, there was a lot that they were not able to get done, and then that kind of unfortunately sealed the deal for the next couple of Halo games. I got a better question. Are the Flood precursors? I mean, yeah, according to the lore. Gears of War had nice loading screens, too. Weren't Gears of War, like, it was, like, fire illuminating, like, a certain image? Yeah, the Gears of War games had really cool... they had a lot of cool factor to them. I'm not too keen on Gears of War 3 that much, but that's more for personal reasons. Gears of War 1 and 2, though, those games are so damn cool, dude. In a way that not even, like, the Gears of War remake can top. Like, whenever I want to replay Gears of War 1, I play the original, not the remake. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much faith do you have in Halo Studios? I'd say probably like a 7, you know? Like, it's not too crazy, it's not too high, but I also don't have faith in them. Like, I have faith in their ability to make fun shooters. What I think I struggle with is what I don't really have faith in is their ability to stick landings. And that's where the 7 comes from. I have to skip the part where Dom finds his wife, not gonna lie. Is that for, like... are you on the side that thinks it's cringy, or are you on the side that thinks it's, like, sad? Because I know that Dom's wife, that's a very polarizing part of the campaign. I got a question. Why do people consider Halo 2 multiplayer not count for playable elites? When Reach, you could only play as elites in 3 modes. When in H2A multiplayer, you could only play as an elite in all modes. I think, Isaiah, people don't count Halo 2 Anniversary just because in their mind Halo 2 Anniversary is more of a spin-off thing. Like, it's not an official mainline Halo game in the same way that Halo 2, 3, and Reach were. It's more of a spin-off thing that tries to adhere to Halo 2. So it's like, of course there's playable elites in Halo 2 multiplayer, or Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer. It's Halo 2. I think that's why. Halo Studios. It's time to launch the game without Forge again. Yeah. And some of that is like, it's like a sad kind of... Here, this is something that I want to talk to you guys about, because Rebecca is super into Infinity Nikki, which, like, guys, if you guys want like a Destiny-like grind that isn't like high octane, high action, and kind of chill, Infinity Nikki is a fun grind. That game's very relaxing to play. But especially if you've got a girlfriend, wife, partner, or if you like pretty things, Infinity Nikki is a lot of fun. But in that game, the developers sort of, it feels like they soft launched the game. Because there's a lot of things that are kind of like missing that are obviously intended for the game, you know? Certain systems, certain obvious things where it's like, why isn't this here? And there are things missing in the UI where it feels like they are designed to come at a later date. And Infinity Nikki, currently, every single day that I boot up that game, there's a patch for it. And they are rapidly adding content to the game at like an astonishing pace. And I think it comes from basically you get the game out so that the systems are now out in public. And then you see what breaks. And then you do the patching. And then once the foundation is patched up, then you begin adding the content to it. Which is a sentiment that I've heard from some developers, that on the 360 it was a lot easier to finish the game because the under the hood like networking and code was a lot simpler, but now kind of like the whole the stitching that keeps games together, they've gotten so big, so cumbersome, so complicated that it's like, if you were to assemble a massive, large, huge game with all these different features and put it out, and it's like inherently busted, like it just, the code itself is like faulty. Sometimes it's better to start simple so that you can make sure that it is a strong foundation, because there are some things that you just can't like test internally. Like you can only really do stress tests with a large player base, and sometimes that involves the launch of the game. But I don't know. I'm no developer. It's just things that I've seen other developers talk about. Granted, a lot of those developers have been a part of game launches that were very troubled, like Anthem, Halo 5, Halo Infinite, the Master Chief Collection, Destiny. Late night, have you ever been out of the country? I have not. When I was young, I think I've been to Ukraine, but it's too young for me to remember. Probably not. Oh no, Isaiah. Oh god. Oh no, this is very, very, very not good. Okay. Michael Silva, what are we talking about? Punch that grunt in the face. Get him. Get him up. Okay. I couldn't stop staring at everything in the city. I wanted to go there in real life. What are we talking about? Talking about cities. Here, let me scroll up a little bit. Also, Halo Studios will ditch split screen, pound sand. Well, that comes from Halo Studios is in a very unique situation where they, like 343, they do want to include it. And the plan was to include it, but the actual, I guess it's, imagine somebody else says that they're planning a party, and the party is going to be great, and they're going to get it started on Thursday, but they'd appreciate if you arrived Friday and helped finish up, because the party will officially begin Friday night. and then you show up on Friday and it turns out your friend didn't do anything, and in fact he kind of lit the building on fire on Thursday. So you now have to try to meet all of those promises for the party on Friday night. Like, that's essentially the situation with Halo Studios and Halo Infinite, where Chris Lee started the game, and his game was kind of a disaster behind the scenes. He is removed, and it's up to the new management to kind of get the game finished and then do their best to keep good on all the promises made. And clearly some stuff they could not do. And not because they technically could not do it, like it's this like technical impossibility. More like, so like Firefight that we're playing here, in order to get Firefight done, the team that was working on Split Screen would have had to stop. And so internally at the studio, you weigh the pros and cons of like, we only have this amount of people. What do we cut? In order, like, what should we cut? You know, what's more important, Split Screen or Firefight? And not that, you know, Firefight was actually the deciding choice, but hopefully that helps put it more in, you know, in understandable light. Why are so many game developers openly saying they hate gamers right now? I know that there are a ton of gamers that suck, but it's really bad publicity for any studio. I don't see too many saying that they hate gamers. I usually see them see game developers that have toxic communities talking about how they really don't appreciate toxicity. I don't really see like game developers openly trashing, you know, like, you play the game, you're bad, I hate you. And the instances where there is, like, some pretty, you know, like, I think of the Concord thing, like, the calling, you know, gamers talentless freaks. That is, like, an exception. You rarely see that. And that is the kind of stuff that gets you in trouble at your job. Because people can put that in YouTube videos and talk about it. Like, it creates controversy, you know? You know, if you're working at a place, don't call your customers talentless freaks. So that's why it usually is news when a developer does kind of lose their temper a little bit and say something pretty mean. We were talking about Zero Block. Talentless freaks. Yeah, it was not correct. It was a contractor that had worked on Concord, and she was saying basically, you know, like, congratulations to my team. It's my first game that I ever worked on that I shipped. Huge props to everyone. We rocked. We got this game out the door. Like, just like a celebration to other game developers. And, you know, because there are some bad actors in the gaming community, as there are everywhere, by the way. They descended upon this little tweet and basically, like, kind of mocked the game and stuff, which, yeah, Concord was a bad, stinky poo-poo video game, but the tweet from this developer was not, like, we made a genre-changing game. It was like the mission accomplished. We shipped the game. Good job, everybody. And she, you know, got pretty angry and defensive and basically said, like, what do I care about the opinion of talentless freaks? And that's not something you say. Like, even if, you know, you're being unfairly kind of swarmed and mobbed by people, you know, the mock train, like, you don't respond like that, okay? You gotta be the bigger person. And unfortunately in this situation, she was not. And so that became the news cycle, was Concord developers calls players talentless freaks. Avowed had a similar situation? Oh no. See, I missed that with Avowed. I don't know, Avowed doesn't, like, this is me speaking generally about Avowed. I don't get it. It's just, like, not selling me. Something about it isn't clicking, and I couldn't tell you what it is. Like, when they showed off, they were like, all the choices you can make. And they showed off, I can't remember what it was, but it felt like the most uninteresting moral conflict I've ever seen. Like, it was like stuff that would happen in the tutorial of the game to teach you about choices and consequences, but they showed it off as, here's the massive impact of our moral choices and consequences system. And that made me very worried that it's going to be kind of like a Outer Worlds situation, where that game is billed as this crazy Obsidian RPG, but it's actually just Fallout 4 with a different flavor. Do you like Warhammer? I do. I'm not like a Warhammer fan, but I like Warhammer as a setting, and I would love to get more into it. Warhammer 40k specifically. Maybe not like figurine collecting, but I definitely like to play some of those games. I can't hear you, LNG. I'm here. Avowed's initial CGI trailer had more mood and color, but Avowed looks like some D&D asset flip. Is that what the controversy is? I hope that's not the controversy, because that doesn't seem like a controversy. Why do you think there's less single-player games nowadays? I feel like single-player FPS games are almost all third-person shooters. I think it's probably due to first-person shooters lending themselves more towards competitive play. And so what happens is, like, it's expensive to make a really good-looking first-person shooter, because, you know, you're literally seeing through your character's eyes. You can shove your face into the in-game assets and look at all the texture detail. And you're so close to the characters that everything's got to look super polished, or it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, kind of like the Craig demo for Halo Infinite. So, if you're going to make a first-person game, make it count. And the way that you make it count is make it multiplayer, because then you can, you know, kind of make more money off of it. I think some of it also is there's this kind of like uncertainty about what games will hit and what games aren't hitting. I think of that Immortals of Avium, and not that like Immortals of Avium, like, it's this brilliant game and it flopped, but more like, if you were trying to pitch a single-player FPS game to any game publisher in the world, they're probably going to look at Immortals of Avium and then immediately tell you no. And as for, like, the third-person games, those are super easy because they can have... it's from a third-person perspective, so customization, reward loops... you can have it your character modeled off of an actor. You can tell, like, stories. You can have it be open world. Not that you can't have first person be open world, but open world games typically do better sales wise if they are third person, because third person as a perspective is more accessible to people who are, sensitive to motion sickness. So I guess that's the case, you know? I can't get into Warhammer or Arcane, two of the hot game franchises right now. Well, Arcane isn't the franchise. It's League of Legends, right? To which I agree. Yeah, League of Legends looks like a big soup of boring to me, as far as like the gameplay is concerned. But Warhammer seems, I guess Warhammer seems kind of like Star Wars. Like you're never like a fan of all of it. You just have to find your corner of Warhammer that you think is super compelling and get into that corner, you know? Damn it. I want developers to know that the YouTube meta these days is inciting drama. I don't even think many of these content creators believe what they say. I agree with that 110%. Yeah. A lot of the outrage and controversy is, like, entirely artificial. Like, the YouTube algorithm means that us YouTubers are always on the grind, and we're always looking for something to make content about. Not in like a, I don't want to say leech perspective, because it's not entirely that. Or it's not intentionally that, you know? But, you know, YouTubers, they need content, and what'll usually happen is bigger gaming channels' outrage or controversies get more attention than just, this just in, everything's fine, you know? So small little things that nobody actually cares about are blown up to be a lot bigger of an issue than they actually are. Things that could be as simple as, like, things that could honestly just be argued for a day in a gaming forum are turned into the weekly, you know, your Young Yaz, your Steven whatever, where it's just like, Avowed is going to flop! Oh my god, developer melts down on Twitter! And it's like not even that crazy, but hey, you know, it gets the views. And it is unfortunate that just like the YouTube algorithm encourages that. And it's kind of like a pity, I guess, that is the kind of content people enjoy, that they're looking for drama and controversy. But then there's also like another aspect of this, and I think this comes from specifically like fandom. And it's, I do, like, pre-internet, when you were like a fan of a thing, you had to take time out of your life to go to like a fan event or something. You know, there were like clubs that you would join that were Star Wars fans. But outside of that, like you couldn't be surrounded by your friend, you know, fellow fans 24/7. You know, you had to physically go to a place. Or, you know, you had to have your buddies over to watch Star Wars or something. You couldn't just constantly be online. And then forums allowed fan groups to be a little bit more connected, but there still was a level of detachedness and unwieldiness from the fact that it's all text-based. Now, though, our ability to just constantly stay connected to each other and constantly stay in the fandom, like, there's this guy that I follow named Oni Zombie, and he makes really damn entertaining Dying Light videos. Like, really, really damn entertaining Dying Light videos. But I don't like Dying Light 2 at all. I think it was a very bad sequel to Dying Light 1. And even now, I think it is not a very good game, even after all of its updates. But I follow Oni Zombie because I'm like, yeah, I'm a Dying Light fan. I want to know what's going on with Dying Light. And Oni Zombie, I forgot what video it was, but he basically talked about like how he kind of felt trapped as a content creator making Dying Light videos, and he was at like 60,000, which is pretty big for Dying Light. But the point being that it's like, you have to now professionally be a Dying Light fan and always on top of Dying Light, and specifically Dying Light. And it's just, that's not what being a fan of a thing is about. This one thing and this one thing only, and you're constantly connected to it. Like, usually what happens is like we get bored of things, and then we cycle to a new thing, you know? Like we've got a bunch of different interests that we're fans of. And the internet kind of makes us feel like we constantly have to be engaged with this one specific thing, and we have to be part of the fandom and part of the community constantly. And so for content creators, it's like, you know, the Halo Infinite update sucks, or like the failure of Halo, and like, you will eventually get bored or tired or feel burnt out from Halo, or feel like it's just not the same anymore if you have to constantly be engaged with it. Hopefully I'm making sense to somebody. Just, I don't think that's the way the human brain was designed, you know? And so some of the toxicity, some of the outrage, the anger, the constant controversies of things, I do think it comes from how connected we are. Because we're always connected, we're always kind of like on top of everything, and there's no time where you kind of take a break for a while and you focus on something else, or, you know, it's just you're always complaining with people, you're always hearing what the current drama is, or, yeah. Yeah, you really kind of, it's like a bit of a wake-up call when you connect with a friend that is a fan of a thing, but not nearly as much as you. There's a buddy named, his name's John, I won't give the last name, and thankfully his first name is so generic that... But he is a big Halo fan, in that he played a lot of Halo 2. Like, a lot of Halo 2. And he had an original Xbox. So Halo 2 frickin' loved it to death. Like, he knows every map like the back of his hand. That multiplayer is his favorite multiplayer of any game. Didn't play a lot of Halo 3. Didn't play a lot of ODST. Though he really did like that. Then he played a shit ton of Reach. Just a shit ton. So his experience with Halo multiplayer is Halo 2, Halo Reach. And that was it. And he considers himself a Halo fan. So if I asked him what happened in the Halo 3 campaign, he couldn't tell you. He could not tell you. But he's a big Halo fan. And it's like seeing that kind of fan versus what some of the hardcore Halo fans are. It really... I guess puts into perspective how kind of like unhealthy sometimes our attachment to the franchise can be. Where it's like sometimes are the constant controversies and outrage maybe our fault? Like, are we taking it a little bit too damn seriously? Because for him, he's very happy. You know, he has no clue about Halo Infinite, like, about all the controversies, the way it launched. He just saw the assault rifle, and he was like, that's cool. That's cool, I liked that version of the assault rifle. That's the one from Reach, right? Master Chief's really cool, isn't he? I wonder what the next Halo game will be like. Most well-adjusted, insane Halo fan. Yep. Yeah, and just, like, his ability to, like, healthily bounce between the different games, play the ones he liked dip out on the ones that he didn't like, but still really like Halo. But not like Halo to the point where he's reading every single book and keeping up with all of the games and blah, 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 constantly staying connected and being a part of the community. He's subscribed to all the YouTubers. He's in the subreddit. He's arguing with people on Twitter. True, I'm bored. That's why I'm here. Yeah, so go ahead, find a new franchise. And that's not saying goodbye to Halo. That's including a new interest in your rotation. And I feel like maybe the Halo fan base, you know, they could appreciate some of that. And I think also some of it is interacting more with those casual types of fans, because like I said earlier in the stream, the way that I was kind of able to rediscover my love for Halo after like Halo Infinite, like kind of the disappointment of it at launch, and then Meltdown last summer. No, not last summer. Oh man, time is weird. It was playing Halo Infinite with my wife, who does not have strong opinions. So she's just like, I like the grunts. I like that my Spartan's pink. And it's like, you know what? I'm having fun with Halo because I'm playing it with somebody who doesn't take it so damn seriously. I used to be a bit of a keyboard warrior back in the heyday of the sprint debates. Now I'm old and tired. I just don't care anymore, LOL. Yeah. Though Halo was more fun without sprint. I haven't touched a Halo game in 2 months. Feels good, guys. I love you. Yeah, but needless to say, Dying Light 2 was a crock of shit. That was a bad game. And no amount of patching can fix the problems with it. Me yelling at my friend about why Twilight Princess is the best Zelda, even though he only played Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, you're not wrong, but damn it. You're not wrong, but dude, Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword has an aura. Disappointing Light 2. Yeah, basically. Dude, I was so hyped for Dying Light 2. I hope that the Beast is good. But my worries about the Beast are that they're going to double down on things that I didn't like about Dying Light 2. Because, like, Dying Light 2's problems are not just that the open world itself is a downgrade from Haran. It's also, to me, the parkour. Like, what made Dying Light 1 fun was, yes, the parkour, but that wasn't, like... It was a back-of-the-box feature, but the main thing that made Dying Light 1 really fun is how the parkour factored into the survival aspects of it. Like, it wasn't Mirror's Edge with zombies, you know? It was... You can quickly scramble over a fence as you're running away from a horde that you can't kill. or you're being chased at night and you can climb to a 2-story building. Like, it's not this, like, crazy, you can do double jumps in mid-air and you've got a glider and a grappling hook and you're just flying across the sky like Batman. Skyward Sword had the best character development, and the soundtrack slaps as always. Yeah, Skyward Sword's story is so damn good. Sprint debate got old, now we do the slide debate. I think sliding is entirely unnecessary in Halo. Like that. I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed, and I wish that it was done slightly better. And there is a way that I think it can be done slightly better. Halo Infinite slide, which is just Halo 5 slide, the problem, I think, with it is that... So, Halo has 2 stances, crouching and standing up. It has no prone. And so because of that, your head height is always at 2 different levels, you know? Standing height or crouching height. But sliding, like, for a little bit puts you on the floor. So it introduces a 3rd height to Halo combat that I think doesn't really play to the strengths of the series. And it's a little bit confusing and kind of annoying and disrupting to deal with. Especially since your body is in front of you, which makes hitting the head a little bit hard. I wish that the sliding was handled kind of like Call of Duty Ghosts slide, where you do it, like, on your knees, basically. You know, like, you're running, and then you drop to your knees and you skid to a stop. That way, it can be a seamless transition into the crouch stance, and the head height stays exactly the same as crouching. That would be my my fix for slide. And I could probably make a video out of it, pitching an idea like that. But the problem with that is the video would be unbelievably short. But who knows? Maybe it would be interesting. I'll have to write it down. I gotta start making a list of shorter videos in between the evolution videos. Skirk, so I'm curious, what should Halo Studios do to make Halo relevant again? And what could the community do to help? I really appreciate the $5. Skirk, by the way, thank you for that. And good question, actually, about what can the community do to help. So, as far as Halo Studios, there's that rumor that they're going to be remaking Halo 1, which I think is smart for a couple of reasons. If they are getting a new creative team assembled, basically kind of like retreading the steps taken by Bungie with making the first game. That's a very solid way to kind of get into the heads of the original creatives. What the hell is going on over here? You see these phantoms? I think, though, that something the community definitely could maybe do is... Oh my god. Something the community could do is start celebrating ideas that are kind of, like, unique coming out of the... Like, you know, and that's tough because, like, you don't want to be, like, everything is great, everything's amazing and stuff, but if this new creative team is kind of going to make their own take on Halo Combat Evolved, I think celebrating the things that have genuine passion behind them and propping them up to balance out the criticism of the things that are not working is important. Because I do think the Halo community sometimes gets a little bit tunnel vision-y on the things that they do not like. And that includes myself. I am also part of that, by the way. And it's a lesson I've learned to be a little bit better at going forward. Because I think, you know, the constant reboots that come from 343, that comes from them not quite understanding what is the correct direction to go in. Like mechanical reboots, oh boy. Mechanical reboots, story reboots, music reboots, style reboots, and I think even like having more nuance in some of the criticisms, because there is a lack of nuance in the community that can sometimes be pretty damn frustrating. Where people will say like the new music is soulless, and it'll be like, really? What do you really like soulless? I don't know. Have you listened to Bracken Escape? Like, was that a soulless song? Because to me, at least, that sounds like a song ripped out of, you know, the Marty O'Donnell era. And a bit of criticism that I think actually maybe is a little bit more applicable is the way that music is used in the levels is not as organic as it was during the Bungie era. It does feel as if the music is kind of created in a completely different silo, and then completely different creatives take those songs and just place them into the levels. Which leads to that kind of feeling that the music is a little bit disconnected from the actions that are happening. Because the way they did it in the Bungie days was the music composer was also the audio director. So the music kind of became an organic part of the soundscape, you know, because it had to be treated also like the audio of the level. Like everything had to be balanced, everything had to be timed perfectly, and so there was a bit more synergy and things felt a little bit more orchestrated. So that is something that I think maybe the Halo community could get a little bit better about, is that rambling kind of got to the point, which is be a little bit more nuanced with the criticism. Instead of just broadly dismissing something, try to approach it with a little bit more nuance. Oh boy. Do you think Halo will ever get another TV show? I mean, never say never, but I think for right now, Halo's potential as a series on TV is kind of... I don't know if there's much that can be done right now. You know, it's kind of like the Borderlands movie. Like, are they going to make another Borderlands movie? And it's like, they had their shot and they missed. So I think Borderlands' chance as a franchise, a multimedia franchise, that's done. Borderlands will go back to just being a game franchise. I think they need to experiment with more sounds in future soundtracks. A lot of the tracks in Infinite sound great, but a lot of them are kind of samey. See, what's wild to me is Halo Infinite, its soundtrack has a lot of variety to me. Like, a lot of variety. The problem with it is the length of the game. So, like, Halo Infinite, its soundtrack is about as long as a traditional Halo soundtrack, but the campaign is twice to 3 times as long as a traditional Halo campaign. So there is a hell of a lot more music reuse in this game. Like, more, I'd say, than Combat Evolved, which reused a lot of tracks. So I guess it's like, you know, Halo Infinite, I would have liked to hear more music in it. Like a couple more songs. Because I feel like there weren't nearly enough. I just remembered that there's a new Borderlands game coming out. Yeah, it certainly looks like another one. Exactly the same as all the others ever since Borderlands 1. Man, those new Vault Hunters, they look, like, ugly, right? Like, there's some of the side characters in that I think look better if they were Vault Hunters. Because there was, like, the big beefy guy, and he's got all of this shit, like, all over him. And he's got, like, a weird, like, one of his abs, or not his abs, his pecs, just one of them is exposed. And it's like a shirt, and it's just like, what the hell am I looking at, you know? Kind of like design work for the characters. And then the side characters, because they're side characters, they have a little bit more grounded designs. But because of that, they stick out more. Because they have a bit more, like, identifiable of a silhouette to them. And this is me commenting on it as someone who does not like Borderlands. But as somebody who doesn't like Borderlands, I can recognize that the new Vault Hunters are not it. They are not. They don't have that iconic status that the original 2 sets of Vault Hunters had. Like, nobody remembers the ones from 3, and I don't think anybody is going to remember these ones. Hey, LNG, do you have a favorite truck or car? Oh, man, I really like the look of the Camaro. But I think, as far as, like, cars, like little cars, I super fuck with the Volkswagen Beetle. Like, that is just a cool-looking little car. It's hard to say, because, I don't know. Cars I've never been, like, married to, you know, or, like, uniquely interested in. Oh boy. I like Borderlands 1 and 2, but Borderlands 3 lost me in a lot of ways, mostly gameplay reasons. Borderlands 1, I remember thinking was fine, but really boring. And kind of like, I don't know, just boring, I guess. Like, it was kind of boring, but it was fine, and the vibes of it were kind of fun, that it was, like, Mad Max, like, you know, desert post-apocalypse, raiders, and stuff like that. Borderlands 2, I remember not even giving the time of day, because it was like, it's literally just the first game. Like, it is the first game. Almost nothing is different. And it's the sequel. You know? And 3, Jeremy Cook, the art director for Halo Wars 2, he was like, hey man, get Borderlands 3, let's play together. And so I was like, fine. And we got Borderlands 3, and we had to mute the voice dialogue because it was, like, Borderlands, I think, has only ever been sort of funny in just the first game. It was sort of funny in Borderlands 1. And everything afterwards has been, like, intolerable. And Borderlands 3, like, the annoyingness of the humor was cranked up to 11. And so we had to, like, mute the voices and turn off subtitles while we played Borderlands 3. It was the only way we could enjoy ourselves. because it was just like, hey, remember everything else that was not funny about Borderlands 2? Well, we added even more of it in the sequel. LNG, you kidding? Borderlands 2 is a wildly different vibe. See, I don't feel that way. Because for me, like, it's like the, like, Butt Stallion. I said why aren't you laughing? I said Butt Stallion. Isn't that funny? And it's like, no, Borderlands 2, that's not funny. That has, like, lolcats, I can has cheeseburger, LOL type of humor. You know, it's just, Borderlands 2 isn't funny to me. It's very, very annoying. And it won't stop talking. And Borderlands 3 was even worse in that regard. Oh boy. It's funny if you're 12. Yeah, that's the... See, but even... I didn't think it was funny. Even as a young person, I was not so young as to think that Borderlands 2's humor was funny. You can find Borderlands 2 not funny. I'm just saying it's wildly different than 1. Different writers, even. See, I don't think it was that different, because it was like... I remember the only thing being different is, like, oh, the sprint animation's different. But it was still, like, a lot of reusing animations. Visuals look pretty much identical. The moment-to-moment gameplay is, like, the same. Like, not much has changed. It was like Borderlands 1 was, like, a solid idea, but there was a lot of, like... Just like a lot... It felt like a game that was born from a bunch of ideas, you know? But none of the ideas were, like, properly explored or fleshed out. And Borderlands 2, rather than fleshing out the ideas... It just caked the ideas in, like, a cluttered and really hard to navigate UI. And then just, like, buried it in cement and said, this is Borderlands, this is our identity. And it's like, wait, but, like, it's not done yet. Like, you still have, like, 10 minutes left on the timer. Put it back in the oven, you know? And they're like, nope, this is Borderlands 2. It's like, but it's the same. It's Borderlands 1, again. You gotta leave it in a little bit longer. And then Borderlands 3 was like the exact same thing, but there were obviously some new animations added, and the humor was even more unfunny, as well as like different planets and stuff. But those are just like different bio. I don't know. It's just like the whole Borderlands series. Like, I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential in Borderlands, but for some reason, it refuses to really, really make its ideas pop. Borderlands was actually inspired by Halo Combat Evolved. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell that. Like Borderlands, it's got the shield system that it borrowed from Halo. It's got the third-person vehicles that it borrowed from Halo. Even the way that they drive is taken from Halo. It's got the ancient aliens that it borrowed from Halo. Like, Borderlands is a very derivative franchise, I guess. Would you say the same criticism applies to Gears of War 1 and 2, but they're just better games? See, I wouldn't call those criticisms in the case of Borderlands 1 and 2, because I think those games are actually good. Like, I think Gears of War 1 struck gold. Like, it came out of the oven properly prepared. You know, like, it was a feast. And so the sequel just giving me more of what I liked was exactly what was needed. But for me, Borderlands 1 was undercooked. And so for the sequel to make more of the stuff that was not prepared properly the last time, it just didn't hit for me. he's actually late night gaming. I am. Question, what is everything you are hoping to see from the next Halo game? I'm hoping to see something that is very different and surprising, I guess, in like a good way. Because I think that the current way that Halo games, like you've got your Slayer, you've got your Capture the Flag, and I don't know if that's enough anymore. Like, I think even if the next Halo game were to basically be on feature parity with Halo Reach, I don't think that would be enough to interest people anymore. There's too many options now in terms of games, old franchises and stuff. And I think if the next Halo game is to really take the market by storm, it has to tap into an aspect of gaming that right now is very, very undervalued. And the problem with that, we could say like, well, what about Forge? Here's the worry I have, okay? When you look at Forge, Forge is badass and awesome. But then look at Roblox. And it's like Forge has just no chance there in terms of like user-generated content being the primary driver. When you think of like team-based modes, whether it's Big Team Battle or Arena or even like Warzone, unfortunately, like Call of Duty kind of has, you know, like Team Deathmatch lockdown, like it's 6v6 stuff. It fills that gap, and then that 6v6 stuff feeds into the Battle Royale thing, which Call of Duty also has locked down, as well as others like Fortnite and Apex Legends. So whatever the next Halo has to do, it has to take a look at the gaming landscape and see what people are hungering for, but nobody is currently doing. And then pounce on it in a way that like Helldivers 2 was able to identify that in this Battle Royale fever dream craze, nobody is feeding the guys who just like horde modes. Because, like, Helldivers, I'd say, is like an extraction shooter, or at least extraction shooter adjacent. But it's also definitely feeding into folks who aren't, like, competitive. They just want to kill, like, endless waves of goons, you know? And then I think Warhammer, also the new Warhammer game we talked about earlier, I think Warhammer has tapped into a thing that people haven't really been doing for a while. Unfortunately, Gears used to be like the best franchise at this, but Gears has kind of not been relevant for a very long time, and Gears of War 5 made too many changes to its core identity, which is like the super cinematic, super kind of like scripted campaign that is focused on spectacle. Like, you don't really get that anymore. You know, like, obviously, like, Warhammer has, like, its unlock tree and, like, all of that boring stuff. But I don't think people played Warhammer for that. I think they played it because it was like, oh my god, this is almost like a 360-era Gears of War game. Like, it's just, look at all the crazy shit happening on screen. I can't believe this is real. You know, it's not being bogged down in, like, in a weird kind of half-baked open world and... So I'm trying to think what is currently a gap in the game market that Halo could potentially fill. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. I remember playing Gears of War 3 on the 360 in the Horde mode games that always disconnect after enough rounds were played. That's funny. You guys would just literally like play until the servers like destabilized. Could you show your weapon offsets? I like them. Oh, the weapon offsets I'm using are nothing special. I'm doing them to keep them out of the way right now. Those are the weapon offsets that I have. See, rifle. It's done so that the weapon is super small on the screen. Oh boy. Party shooter. Focus on community features, custom games, forge, file share, and build on that. Could even do a standalone game for that. That is a potential. Because I look at Roblox, and the thing about Roblox is Roblox can be pretty intimidating. Because it's more of like a game development tool, sort of. Like you're making entire games within Roblox. You're spending your Robux on Ro things or whatever. And I feel like where Halo could potentially thrive is if they... Okay, campaign stuff, spin that off into something completely different. Like, make a Halo game that is kind of built around that sense of community. Like, I'm thinking, as far as, like, social worlds are concerned, like, there's got to be a kind of digital Chuck E. Cheese to an extent, where it's almost, think about it like the lobby in between the games where you're walking around. What would be the main feature of the game? Where you're running around with your buddies, wasting time in between playing custom games. I think possibly exploring some kind of persistent drop-in, drop-out world a la Destiny's Patrol Zones could be something to explore. Don't, copy Destiny's Patrol Zones. You'd have to do something to make it more Halo-y. Or take that idea and build it up into something that's a little bit more unique, but I don't think it would be like, it couldn't be on, like a ship, like the Pillar of Autumn, the Infinity, or something like that, because I think that locks you into an aesthetic, which is, UNSC facilities, and I think that is one of Halo's weakest aspects. They could put it on a Halo ring, where you're just kind of running around a giant Halo ring, killing AI, maybe shooting other players, and then you can hop into your own custom games if you want. But I think like a Halo ring is a little bit, I don't know. Halo rings are cool, don't get me wrong, but we were just on one, with Halo Infinite. Like, how do you make hey, it's another Halo game where you're on a Halo ring. How do you make that exciting a second time around? And I'm not sure what you could do with the environment to make it exciting. Always thought a Forerunner underwater facility would be good for a hub world, for a hub area. Looks cool. I guess you could have that. That is cool as an idea, Isaiah. I almost wonder if you could then have maybe... You could have a Halo ring and you would be able to explore different parts of the ring. Like, you could almost have all these different biomes and environments hyper-condensed. Like, you could go underneath the belly of the ring and run around, like, the weird Forerunner-y stuff. Like there's probably, like Sentinel factories, underwater bases, that kind of stuff. And then up on the surface, you could have like the zone that kind of looks like autumn, the zone that kind of looks like snow. What would the gameplay loop, what would be the point of running around these open worlds be? I think I talked in a previous stream about something that 343 was exploring prior to Halo Infinite, and it was something that they were prototyping. Nothing ever came of it, I don't think, and I think some of that was due to resources, but they were exploring with the idea of the next evolution of the Warzone mode, which would have been like 50 player servers. It was either 50 player servers or 50 versus 50. I can't remember what they were. But it would be like the match never actually ends, and the servers are persistent, and what you would be fighting over... Wow, did you see that frame rate drop? What you'd be fighting over are bases, and the bases are more expansive, more built up, and it would be kind of like, this week, red team has the base on this hill, and you spend all week trying to get it back, and finally at the end of the week, you have it. And then it would be like, week 2, this elite boss with this specific gun has spawned over here, and you want to kill the boss and capture the blueprint of its weapon for your team. And it, every week there would be like new stuff added, and there would be kind of this push and pull. Like the match would never end; it would be constantly ongoing, and that was something they were prototyping. And I wonder if that could be revived and explored as an idea. Yeah, hub areas in these sorts of games are more so spacious to chat and adjust your build, rather than something you do anything serious on. Nobody goes to patrol zones to do serious stuff. That is true. And something, I guess, to keep in mind is... like, what I'm trying to think of is, I'm trying to think of, like, investors. Because if this was, like, a Garry's Mod type thing, where it literally is just, like, server browsers, level builders, custom game tools... that would make for a dope PC game. But console gamers, their attention spans are a little bit shorter, and they kind of want you to cut to the action a little bit faster, if you know what I mean. Like, the UI has to be less around clicking and, scrolling through a server browser and stuff like that. So you've almost got to, like, think about how would you design it for a console user to stay entertained. And that's where the idea of, like, well, what would be the kind of the primary hub, whatever it would be. Because there would be some people that aren't interested in all these random custom games. They just want to, like, run around and kind of play the game, if that makes any sense. Carry out missions or campaign story. I'm getting tired thinking about how to save Halo. I think one of the best examples of a decent hub is Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic has a pretty good hub. Yeah, it's tough. Like, Halo is definitely a cool franchise, but unfortunately it's very limited, I think, in what it can do. Because people expect very specific things out of the Halo franchise. There's this thing that I read on the previous stream. For those of you who are here for it, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who weren't, it was basically this quote from Phil Spencer circa 2011, before the release of Halo 4. And he was talking about how the Halo franchise lost its way. And you want to know what he was talking about in that regard? He was talking about ODST and Halo Reach. And he was saying that what people really like in Halo is they like Master Chief, and they like being the Master Chief, and that the Halo franchise lost its way with these weird spin-offs like Halo Wars and ODST and Halo Reach. And he said that what people are really keen on is getting back into the boots of Master Chief, which is why they were so excited about Halo 4, which would be releasing next year, and blah, 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 you know? And it was very interesting reading that. Considering where we are now, where there's like people begging for an ODST game, and we're kind of like, why aren't they making an ODST themed game? It's like, if that's how Xbox was viewing things like ODST and Halo Reach, as kind of like these unnecessary distractions from the core of Halo, which should be Spartan 2's Master Chief. Like that kind of stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sounds like corpo talk to me. It's definitely like a little bit of like soulless corporate, you know, like no fun allowed. There must be Darth Vader and a lightsaber in every single Star Wars thing, but they are ultimately the guys who sign the checks. And so paying attention to the things that they are saying are very important to kind of know what it is they want from Halo. Because I think if you can get in their head and understand why they think ODST was an unnecessary spinoff, then I think you could figure out how to manipulate them into coming around to the idea of an ODST spinoff. You know? If you go in, like, basically in a very antagonistic way, demanding all of these things from Halo and calling everybody who makes Halo incompetent, and if they didn't want to be incompetent, they'd design it this way. Like, you're not going to get anything done, and we're just going to get Master Chief is sad games till the end of time. But if you were to go in and basically say, you know, ODST was not going to reach a large audience, and here is why. ODST was made only for Halo fans, you know, like it did not appeal to the broad audience, and that is definitely a valid concern that you would have if your goal is to reach a massive audience. Here's how I would make a game that is themed around ODSTs that could reach a big audience and get you the money that you're looking for, as well as allow the brand to expand its reach a little bit, which can then be, you know, turned into t-shirts, toys, and blah, 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 because now it's not just Master Chief stuff, you can also start making ODST-themed stuff. So it's like, that's how you get to them, you know? You figure out what they're saying and why they're saying it, and then, you play their game a little bit, and you get them to come around to your side. Hey LNG, it's been a while since I tuned in. Really excited for the upcoming video you've been teasing. It looks quite great. Oh, oh boy. I got something to show you guys. B-Harp fan, or Barp fan, just donated $2. Thank you, I appreciate that, dude. I just want a game that's finished on release. I think we all, dude. That's the primary thing. Just, it's gotta be polished on release. This has gotta be the one. Do you think Halo would benefit from an entire universe reboot? I don't think an entire universe reboot, but I do think it could benefit from some Resident Evil style retellings, remakes of the original games, where it's like not wiping away the canon, but it is retelling the game in a modern way and injecting a bit of new lore into it. And new story moments. I feel like Halo Wars could be brought back if it was mobile. I can see that, Isaiah. I feel like, you know, obviously there are folks that are like, you know, their eyes are rolling so far into the back of their heads that they can see their own brain, a la SpongeBob. In that episode where Plankton took control of SpongeBob's brain. But I think that there is validity to that, where obviously Microsoft is too scared about making a Halo Wars 3 because of the way Halo Wars 2 performed. And I think that you could successfully pitch a Halo Wars spin-off mobile game to them. And I think they'd be more on board with that. LNG, will you play a non-Halo game next stream? Marathon maybe, or Half-Life? Something that isn't Halo this, Halo that? Slop? No offense, but it's getting stale. Yeah! Half-Life is actually a really good idea. I really, really, really like Half-Life 1. So yeah, let's do that. Trying to think of some stuff that we could do. Because I'm mostly playing the Halo stuff, because, you know, folks enjoy seeing that, but I guess what are some games do you think that a majority of the people subscribed to here would enjoy seeing? Helldivers would probably do decently, right? Maybe I could install Helldivers, and you guys could all babysit me, because, you know, I'm not great at the game. But Half-Life is a good idea. Half of the chat hated my Halo Wars take. It was a good take, Isaiah. But it's definitely, you know, do you guys not have phones? Like, the lack of trust in mobile games is, I think the game industry has done a lot to earn that lack of trust. But I do agree that if you were to pitch a Halo Wars game, the safest way to pitch it to Microsoft would be a mobile spin-off. And I think that that would be better than just no more Halo Wars. My frame rate is all over the place right now. Have you ever played Cyberpunk 2077? I feel like it's right up your alley. I'm not that interested in Cyberpunk, to be honest. Like, everything Cyberpunk does, I feel like I get in better quality from Rockstar games like Red Dead, like the world simulation, crime simulator type of stuff. Like, I feel like Rockstar games are more fleshed out in that sense. And as for the Cyberpunk aspect of it, I think it is done better in Deus Ex. I don't know, just something about Cyberpunk to me, it just seems so, I don't know, the combat doesn't look that interesting, the world doesn't seem that interesting, and it just kind of makes me, it reminds me of like Deus Ex, and why I really like Deus Ex, I guess. To be honest, you know, people would be really mad about a Halo mobile game, even if it is a high-quality game. People will still hate on it purely for it being a mobile game. Yep. And sometimes in those cases, you just gotta ignore the hate. Because the player counts speak for themselves. The most popular game system on the planet is the phone. Which is, like, crazy to think about, but, like, Roblox is on phones. Fortnite is on phones. Warzone is on phones. And there's, like, this current problem right now in the console market that it has a lot of people scared. And it's why you see a lot of companies actually starting to jump to PC. And it's the concern right now is that the ceiling has been hit with the current gaming audience in terms of, like, active users, the 200 million something. And the new generation, they are not interested in console gaming because they were all raised on their tablets and their phones playing Roblox and Minecraft and stuff. And they just, like, why would they get, like, a PlayStation 5 to play Roblox? Like, their phone is fine, you know? If anything, they're actually getting PCs. They're getting into PC gaming. So that, you know, they can get, like, mods for Minecraft, and they can, you know, run more impressive Roblox worlds and stuff like that. And so it's just, you know, as well as, like, if you actually look at sales data, active users, and stuff in the gaming industry, right now, the most popular games ever, the ones that have the most engagement, most players, are games that have released 4 to 7 years ago. You know, modern games are not relevant. The relevant games are the ones that are years and years and years old and still getting updates. So it's just this, like, issue with the gaming industry, and they don't quite know what to do about it. And so, you know, hey, like, a Halo mobile game, not, like, the worst idea in the world, considering that is where most of the new generation of gamers are playing their games. I loved Cyberpunk's story and characters, but the actual gameplay was underwhelming. I wish that even, like, the story was a little bit more, I don't know. It just, the ticking time bomb aspect of the story doesn't hit with me when it's like an open world game where you can do anything at your own pace. You know, so it's like, oh my god, you gotta save V before he gets taken over by Johnny Silverhand. But that's not actually, like, reflected in the game world. You know, you can take as much time as you want and everything will be fine. And then also just kind of like the you know, coming off of, like, Deus Ex, the extremely safe and kind of sterile corporations bad meta narrative. I can barely call it that because it's so, like, soft, I guess. Sometimes I think about giving up on gaming entirely. No, you don't. Because what else are you gonna do? Gaming's fine. Gaming will be fine. We're talking purely about, like, console gaming and stuff. Like, gaming will always exist. This isn't a situation like the games industry in the 80s where it kind of collapsed because the gaming technology was terrible, and there were only a handful of games that you could do with the technology available, and they were all trash, and people were pumping out shitty versions of those games. Like, the technology to create games now is so varied and diverse, and like, everything is so powerful now that you can have a wide variety of games. Like, the gaming industry is great. It's just the expensive gaming industry that are panicking a little bit. Gaming is fine, you know? Maybe don't play Call of Duty. But definitely go to your local game store, your used game store, get yourself a Wii, or get yourself an original Xbox, or a DS, or whatever, and have your pick. You know, like, the gaming is fine. There are enough games to last us till the day we die. You know? But let me show you guys something cool, since you are all on stream here. Okay. Don't worry about this. This is some of my editing stuff. Look at all of these music rips that I have. As well as Halo Odyssey. But here's what I wanted to show you guys. Because it is done. The Halo Combat Evolved part of it. Here is a graphic pop-up that I painstakingly animated for the evolution of Halo 2's pistol. What I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of evoke the Halo 2 UI as well as the Halo 2 manual that comes with the games, but it's also got to be animated. It can't just be like a still PNG, so I got the pistol rotating, and there isn't any kind of program that creates outlines or like fills in and highlights different parts of the weapon this way. So I spent the day frame by frame, like keyframing outlines around things and learning more about, you know, like how to draw shapes and stuff in Premiere while editing, so that I could get it to look like the pistol has been highlighted, as well as, like, you know, figuring out what font it is that Bungie used by zooming in on the super pixely mess. I think I figured out what font they use, but, you know, coming up with these stuff. Does it look cool? Yeah, that's the goal that I had in mind. Try to make it look like you just opened up a menu on the Halo 2 UI. Okay, I'm glad that looks cool. Here's something else that I've done. See, I've added some muzzle flashes here. It's a still of Halo 2. I mean, it's 3D, you know, like I got this in-game by freezing the game world as Master Chief fires his pistol, but things like here, like the muzzle flash, I did those in post so that there's a little bit of motion. It kind of looks like Master Chief's firing his guns in a super, super slowed down world. Added some shell casings here and there for a bit of dynamism, some lens flare over there. Okay, so it's cool. Is this matching the Halo 2 vibe? Is this Halo 2 energy it's giving? Because I'm trying very hard to make sure that it fits the look of Halo 2, specifically because it's the Halo 2 part of the video. Like, I created this background from scratch as best I could by looking at, you know, the Halo 2 UI scrolling background thing. Yeah. None of these are specifically, like, it's just some beauty shots that I'm going to be using in the video talking about the 3D aspect, and then the Combat Evolved part is finished. I think. Like, I'm relatively happy with it. I think I'm going to clean up the opening, I think, a little bit later, but here's kind of like the look for the Combat Evolved portion. I've got the dark blue still, because that was a big part of Combat Evolved's look. I've got the weird, like, circles and text scrollings. I've got this. Tried to make sure I was using the exact same font. Making sure that everything is adhering to the look of each game. And then this is a style that I plan to continue with future evolution videos. When I talk about, like, Halo 3, I want the pop-ups to look like they were from the Halo 3 UI. When I'm talking about Halo 4, I want it to be the same way. And so on. But it's giving that combat evolved energy, hopefully, here. How did you find the font? Just, like, digging. They, like, asking around online and stuff. Something super interesting that I learned was that 343 Industries, their logo, they use the font from the original Halo as their logo font, which is pretty cool. I can't remember the name of it. It's like Handle Gothic, I think. I'm probably even confusing two names and like mixing them together, you know? It's looking good, though. Yeah, and whenever I freeze, do like a slow-mo freeze, I want there to be a bit of stylization, you know, give it that original game stylization. Like, you can see back here for this shot, I've added like lens flares that are flickering to different aspects of him. We got the weird digital lines and stuff like that. Just trying to have a little bit of fun. Here's a shot I'm pretty satisfied with, which I think I've showed you guys before. There we go. It's transitioning from talking about the sniper rifle to the rocket launcher. Yeah, but just trying to get that Halo look down for Combat Evolved, at least. Okay, so I'm glad that folks seem to be on board with the aesthetic. Here's some fun flood stuff. I was worried about the lens flares. Are they cool looking? They're not distracting. They add a little bit more style and substance to the image. That was clean as hell? Okay, that makes me feel good. Being able to get a little bit of validation from you guys is very important. Because I want to make sure that I'm like doing it justice. This transition I was very worried about, that it would be too like J.J. Abrams, I guess, with the lens flares. How are you doing the third-person camera shots? On Halo Custom Edition, you can open up the console, and you can do all sorts of like goofy stuff with the console. Debug camera save, debug camera load, and then you hold the mouse button to move the camera about. It's very, very unwieldy, but I have a lot of experience with it. As well as this is something that I'm a bit... iffy about, because what I don't want to be doing is misrepresenting the game, but I feel like for dramatic effect it's a lot of fun, which is adding visual effects to increase the impact of certain things. So like here, I kill an elite like that, and it's like pretty nutso looking. And that's because, boom, right here, all the blood right there, as well as the blood splotches that I've attached to the camera, like all of those I added in post, and then like here, the blood on the ground, on the wall, and even the stuff that dripped from him when he fell, I added, just to give a little bit more aggression to the shot, as well as the camera shakes. And I don't want to be... What I'm worried about is I'm eventually going to cross the line to the point where I am misrepresenting what the game actually looked like. But hopefully when it comes to this specific instance, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Like, that's okay, right? Like, it does look like the game, and it does add a little bit more like a brutality to this specific moment, which is the point. Okay, it's cold as fuck. Okay. That's good to know. Honestly, this looks like a genuine 2001 trailer. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, as a normal person, I would have never known that you added that stuff. Okay. And that's in like a good way? Like it enhances the experience. It doesn't mislead you into thinking that the game actually looked better than it did. Okay. All right, that energizes me. It makes me feel encouraged, like I'm on the right track, then I'm striking the right balance. And I'm glad that the J.J. Abrams lens flares don't come across that way. I'm glad they just come across as cool 2000s lens flares. The Flood were really difficult to get. Because the Flood, they have like their really crazy movements, and they really like jumping, which is annoying. So I had to redo these shots quite a few times, and I also had to tweak my speed, like basically following the Flood here, and then he's moving too fast, so he completely overshoots the camera, and then I have to reset it, and then track him again and bump up the speed just a tad, and I kept having to do that until my camera was completely in sync with him. So these shots here, like, even though it does look like really cool, these took a lot of time to set up because of how just like crazy and unpredictable the Flood are, as well as getting them to just stop jumping. Just run in a straight line, that's all I need from them. Why do you make the Flood sound like puppies? Because they are! Like, in this case, like, I'm using console commands, so I'm invincible. They can't kill me. In a single keystroke, I can make them sit. Like, I can deactivate them, put them all to sleep, and they'll stop chasing me and just sit there waiting for, you know, the command to start trying to kill me again. So it's just, like, setting up, you know, rounding them all up, because these little guys, they keep wanting to jump on me and explode. So I've got to round them all up and make sure that I'm not killing too many, because I've got to sell the illusion that it's a horde of them, you know, and not what is in reality just maybe 20 of these guys and like 7 of the combat forms running around. So it is a lot like training dogs, I guess. Well, actually, except I think my Shih Tzu's more obedient than the Flood are. So yeah, it was just a lot of like, come on, Come on, do it. Good boy. Like they're doing it. Good boy. Could you make a Weeping Angels mode with that? You probably could. You probably could. They won't like freeze. It's basically you're putting the AI to sleep. I think that's what it's called, at least in Halo Infinite, under the hood. When an AI is deactivated, they're in sleep mode, where basically they'll just be standing there doing their idle animations. And they're blind, they're deaf, they don't know anything, and they won't react to stimuli. And in Halo Combat Evolved, you can do the same thing via console commands. But the problem is they will still like not move about. They will still play their idle animations. So they won't freeze, you know? They'll just stop moving until they're activated again. But you could probably script it. You could probably script it so that they will just like freeze in place somehow, you know? But, yeah. Alrighty, guys. I am going to hop off now so that I can get some sleep, because it is midnight where I am. But this was very entertaining, and it was really cool being able to run some of these ideas by you, because you guys are the only ones seeing this right now. And sometimes, you know, when I'm in the thick of editing, I'm worrying a little bit that maybe I'm going too far or it's not interesting enough. So hearing you guys validate some of my thoughts, or I guess invalidate some of those concerns, it's energizing. But yeah, I will see you guys later. Have a good evening. Have a wonderful time. Okay, the Shih Tzu knows that I'm getting off. Alrighty, guys. Good night, everybody.